Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Manhattan Community Board 3's April full board meeting. Excuse me tonight, but I am getting over a health concern, but I'm hiccuping. So just bear with me. They're coming in and out. So we're going to start with our public session. First up, I have Jill McManus.
Oh, we have to promote her.
Amanda, do you see her?
I'm looking through right now. I think if we can try to employ the technique where if your name is called, raise your Zoom hand so we can find you more easily. Jill, I don't see a Jill.
I don't see her either.
All right. I did see Michael from Citizens. He's next. So let me, there we go. All right. Michael, I just promoted you. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Tariq.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Hickey. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Citizens Committee for New York City. Many of you have heard of the organization. It's been around for almost 50 years, and our goal is to help all New York City's neighborhoods thrive by supporting grassroots leaders. Tonight, I just want to share a little bit about our current grant programs that are seeking applications through May 31st. Our Community Leader Grant Program provides awards of up to $3,000 for neighborhood-led community change initiatives. You don't have to be a nonprofit organization or have a fiscal sponsor. You can be a volunteer-led group that's making change by doing everything from community gardening to improving emergency food access, dealing with health and wellness issues, supporting youth, and so on. At the end of my conversation, I'll drop into the chat a quick way to get a hold of us, our email address and our website. On our website, you'll find information about how to apply for our programs, frequently asked questions, and other guidance. In addition, we host information sessions almost 2 to 3 times each week. And with each information session, you can speak to our team members, share ideas, and try to get support to make your grant as competitive as possible. The Neighborhood Business Grant is our second program. It's for small businesses with 10 or fewer employees. In that program, we're looking for small businesses that have a strong community connection and that are doing well by doing good at the neighborhood level. If your business is hiring locally, working with disadvantaged populations, providing open space for your community members to come together, offering discounted goods and services for people in need, or otherwise contributing to the community, we want to hear from you. You deserve additional recognition and support, and we'd love to make a grant. Again, it's easy to track us down at grants@citizensnyc.org or on our website, citizensnyc.org. I will add some things into the chat. I did notice, I don't think I can take questions now unless the facilitators, okay, no, that's fine. I'm glad I got a few minutes to share this information, and I really hope you'll help us spread the word so that people in this community can benefit from these resources and continue to invest in the good work that you all discuss here every time that you come together. Thank you all. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Michael, and I'll make sure to follow up with that question to you. Thank you. Next up, Greg Miller.
Hi, everyone. My name's Greg Miller. I'm a resident in CB3. I am also the producer and executive director of the nonprofit that makes Dance Parade. And it's coming up. It's May 20th, about a month from now. And it will start on 6th Avenue and 17th Street, go down 6th Avenue to 8th Street and across St. Mark's through a grandstand in Astor Place. There will be 2 MCs announcing each of the 120 groups. And the parade of 10,000 dancers will end up in Tompkins Square Park for a 4-hour culminating event. And that goes from 3 to 7. And I'd like to invite everyone in CB3 to have free grandstand tickets at danceparade.org using the code CB3. And those are for 2 tickets in Astor Place. The event is headlined by our Grand Marshals. I'm going to hold up our little poster. We have Ronald K. Brown from Evidence Dance, Elizabeth Streb from her own Streb Extreme Action group, which is, they performed in the Olympics, and then Natasha Diggs, who's a DJ. Here is the map. I think that might be my time, but the street closures will be obviously along the parade route, but additional closures will be north of Tompkins Square Park and south of Tompkins Square Park, May 20th, which is a Saturday. And if anyone has any questions, I'm open to that. I can be reached at greg@danceparade.org. And really excited to work with you all to enjoy dance and 100 forms of dance. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. We're going to go a little bit out of order really quick. Our borough president is in and has an event to attend. And so just wanted to present very briefly. Borough President Levine, are you on? There he is.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. Sorry for the weird background. I am indeed coming to you live from Lincoln Center, not performing, just about to hop into an event here. It's great to see you, CB3. I want to start by congratulating new leadership we have here. Congrats, Chair Doral, and really excited to work with you, and also the new chair of the SLA, Chair Scott. Excited to work with you as well. We did something really great for Earth Day in Manhattan Borough Board last week. We passed an initiative I know you support, resolution in support of planting 1 million more trees in New York City. We're just so excited about this. It's gaining momentum all over the 5 boroughs. All 4 of my fellow borough presidents are behind this. And we're going to do it with the momentum we have coming out of community board and borough board, a win for our climate, a win for air quality, a win for equity, and so much more. Some of you may have caught that we are pushing really hard to create more housing, and especially more affordable housing in Manhattan. And we put out a plan a couple months ago that identified sites all over the borough in CB3 and around Manhattan where we can build the housing that we need, including a lot of affordable housing. And the number one response we've gotten is people who want additional sites added. So much so that we created a new portal that allows you to submit your ideas for where in CB3 or your neighborhood you think there is an opportunity to create more housing, more affordable housing, whether it is a vacant lot, a partially empty building, an underused city facility, or more. Just go to our website. It's very easy. It's just manhattanbp.nyc.gov, and give us your ideas. you're going to notice the website is brand new, totally redesigned. Great way for you to keep on top of what we're doing in our office. So definitely check it out. One thing you'll see on that site, major new initiative we're pushing is to rein in the out of control number of sidewalk sheds, AKA scaffolding, that are spreading over our borough. We've counted over 4,000 in Manhattan. Hundreds have been there more than 5 years, even 10 years and 15 years. So we have put forward a list of policies that would rein this in, that I won't go into now, but we have good partners in the city council putting legislation forward to help enact our plans to rein in the excessive number of sheds, including Councilmember Powers, who's got some of the legislation that I'm most excited about, and others. So stay tuned. We are going to rein in the number of sheds that are really serving as a blight on neighborhoods, a public safety problem, and much more. We are working hard on composting. New York City is behind. Manhattan is behind. That was true before the pandemic. We actually slid backwards during the pandemic. This is a climate issue because when food scraps and organics land in landfills, wind up in landfills, they emit gases which accelerate climate change. We can do better. I am pushing, and the mayor has now supported a plan to have pickup at every single building in Manhattan as a default. Every building, every residential building, just like you have pickup for paper recycling and glass recycling and plastic recycling. We want pickup for organic, for composting. Unfortunately, the timeline is not fast enough. Manhattan's not currently set to implement until October of 2024. We're trying to push that up. In the meantime, we're pushing for a great interim solution. Actually, it's a great solution, period. Have you seen these orange boxes that are now in Uptown Manhattan, some of the outer boroughs? They're big, boxy, basically they're like locked trash cans that you have to activate with an app on your phone for composting out in the street. They have been so successful. It's a way if you're out and about eating and you want to put your food in there, you can do it as long as you got the app, or even if you have food scraps from home and you don't have a compost site near you and your building's not doing it, you can walk to the corner. There are none yet, to my knowledge, in CB3. There are none yet, to my knowledge, south of 96th Street. But I've been pushing for that, and I believe in the coming months, there will be in every board. I would love for you in CB3 to start thinking about where in your neighborhood you want one of these orange boxes. Assume you got, I don't know, 20 for CB3. Where would you like them? Busy commercial locations, crowded residential areas. Think about it. Let us know. We'll make sure the city knows. I'm really excited about this plan. Finally, to all of you who have reapplied for community board membership, thank you. To all of you who are applying as new leaders, thank you. We are thrilled with the response we got this year. We had over 1,000 applicants borough-wide, or almost 1,000 applicants borough-wide. To everyone who's stepping up to lead for your neighborhood, for your community board, for Manhattan, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I think I'm going to stop right there because I am heading into an event. I don't see if there's hands up for questions. If that's something quick and it's appropriate, I'm happy to take questions. Otherwise, thank you, CB3. It's great to see all of you.
Thank you, Borough President. I hope you enjoy your event.
Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good night.
Okay, Tommy, I see you're already promoted, so go ahead.
Thank you. I'm here because of my concern about the lack of oversight on the East Side Coastal Resiliency Plan. Recently, the Parks Committee decided that they would not meet every month on the ESCR, but would only meet every other month, meaning that any issues that are brought up or arise during that 60-day period have to wait, and answers to questions that we raise have to wait. This is a $2 billion project, never done before, took 5 bids, only 2 contractors. The low bid was by a contractor who's never done a project like this before. And I'm glad the councilwoman is on also, because a lot of commitments were made and none of them have been followed up. And I think it's time the board had a public hearing at which the community doesn't have 2 minutes to ask a question and then wait 60 days for an answer and then have no follow-up. And I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to give you some examples. New hires. Jobs was supposed to be a part of this project. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I'll tell you, there were 98 new hires by the contractor, 4 from the Bronx, 7 from Brooklyn, 3 from Manhattan, and we don't even know if they're from the Lower East Side, 8 from Queens, 24 from Staten Island, 26 from Long Island, 21 from New Jersey, and other 25. That means out of 100 people hired for this job, 3 came from Manhattan, and we don't even know if they're from the Lower East Side. That's one issue. Health issues. During the month of February, there were 24 air quality violations, which the contractor acknowledged, some as long as 37 minutes. They involve putting PM 2.5s and 1.0s into the air. The contractor said that they mitigated them at some point. That dust goes into the air, it's filled with toxic chemicals, and goes into the apartments of everybody who lives along the waterfront. We've been unable to get anybody from the health department, environmental protection, or any other city agency to explain the long-term effects of this kind of exposure, which is going to go on for years to these toxic chemicals. Thirdly, some of you may have noticed that Reese Houses recently had a hearing about the toxic chemicals which have now been found on their property. Part of that is a result of, according to the city, mobile coal tar migrating towards the East River. The East River has now been cut off to migrating water that is under our community. They're currently doing 5 years of dewatering to make sure that the water table doesn't even rise higher. I'm sure many of you don't even know what dewatering is, but it's time you learned about it, maybe at a community board hearing for the entire board.
Thank you,
So at Reese,
Tommy.
I'm just going to take one more minute. So at Reese Houses now, the water table is rising. Reese Houses was built on coal tar ash from many years ago. That coal tar ash turns into arsenic. That arsenic now, due to the work at Reese Houses for their mitigation, is rising to the level where they have to put new concrete floors into some of the buildings to keep it from getting into the buildings. This is out of hand, and we have no oversight by this community board. And you're going to hear about the CAG, which meets once a month. It has no official capacity, was appointed by our community boards. More than half the people have never attended. Pratt gets over $100,000 a year to conduct 12 meetings, and there's been no oversight or enforcement of even the minor attendance rules. Some people have not attended for months.
Thank you,
and
Tommy.
nothing has happened. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to remind all public speakers that you have 2 minutes, okay? But thank you, Tommy. I hear your concerns. Next up, Juan Rivero.
Good evening. I'm the director of East Village and Special Projects at Village Preservation. I wanted to make some announcements about the work that we have been doing. First, in connection to our Business of the Month program, which honors public nominated independent small businesses for their contribution to the neighborhood. Our honoree this month was SOS Chefs, which has been operating on Avenue B and 7th Street for almost 30 years. Second, we have been working with longtime owners Lorcan and Jeannie Otway to save the beloved Theater 80 on St. Mark's, which will be auctioned in a few weeks unless they are given more time to raise the funds necessary to avoid liquidation. We're joining the Otways and others in urging the city to prevent the bankruptcy option from moving ahead on May 9th and the building from being lost. And lastly, we are pleased by the exclusion from the Assembly's and the Senate's budget of the proposal to eliminate the FAR cap across the state. We have led and continue to lead a campaign against this proposal, demonstrating that the current 60-year-old limit allows the construction of buildings of over 1,500 feet, and that the current FAR, so not even the existing cap, but the actual FAR allows 2.7 billion square feet or 1,200 Empire State Buildings worth of housing to be built in New York City, enough to house 5 million more residents. For the real estate lobby, this is apparently not enough, and it continues pushing the line that the cap is what is standing in the way of affordable housing in the city. So we are grateful that the legislature has seen through this absurd contention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan. We're gonna shift for our Councilwoman Carlina Rivera and then come back to the public speaking session.
Thank you so much, and good to see you in another leadership capacity. So I want to thank the entire board for their service, and of course to the executive committee. I know how many hours you all give. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I've been, for the past few weeks, I've actually been on maternity leave, so I appreciate this chance to connect with you all remotely. So just a few brief updates. I'll go legislative first. I have a few bills that have been heard the past couple days and the next few weeks. They include a bill to strengthen our lead bills that are already on the book. Intro 193 aims to protect children under 6 from harmful effects of lead-based paint in common areas of apartment buildings. The second bill would prevent owners of apartment buildings from using technology that identifies tenants or guests through biometric recognition. So, there's been a lot in the media on facial recognition technology. And so that will be a very interesting discussion come May in the Technology Committee. And the last is I just had a bill heard on reporting on street conditions. So that's just to improve, experiences for cyclists, for pedestrians, for anyone involved to report on construction, street work, and hopefully we can make that work with the Department of Transportation. And then the last thing I'll say is actually this week, the City Council unveiled something called a mental health roadmap. It is a continuously evolving plan that really recognizes the mental health crisis the state our city is in, and what we need to do, including incorporating evidence-based solutions to improve mental health outcomes. And that's going to include, it calls for increased prevention services, especially at the community level, addressing the mental health workforce shortage, and of course, confronting sort of the harmful intersections between mental health and the criminal justice system, and just to increase public awareness about the available programs. So that's something the council is doing. It includes looking at the budget, looking at legislative action, and something that I think I'm really, really proud of that the council has stepped forward to do. In community news, we've been doing a lot of cleanups in terms of sanitation, graffiti removal. I've actually allocated more money for sanitation services, especially in Tompkins Square Park. I want to thank Community Board 3 and Susan Stetzer and a bunch of others who have walked that park with me over and over and over again. In fact, just on Earth Day, not only do we do a street tree care demonstration, and I want to thank everyone for joining, but we added even more trash receptacles throughout the park. So we're going to continue that work. I mean, the council's top priority is to advance the dignity, health, and safety of our communities, and of course, all New Yorkers. So the budget's starting to heat up. The state's almost done, I think, with their budget. And the mayor will be presenting to the council his executive budget presentation tomorrow at noon. So our hearings should start, and we'll be looking to fund everything from social services to, of course, the beloved dance parade that you heard about earlier. So with that, I guess I can take questions if that's appropriate.
I don't see any questions, so.
Okay, well, you'll know where I am. And I see Eric Diaz, of course. Eric, is that all right if I call on him?
Yep, it's okay. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay.
Carlita, I just want to know the name of your beautiful child. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. Oh, Benito. Yes, he's sleeping right now. And then, so we're being good. But he'll be out in the streets to meet everyone soon. And I can't wait for him to see you all because he's quite cute. Okay, I see a couple more questions, if that's all right.
Alistair. I think he removed his hand. Larissa will be the last question.
Thank you very much. And Carlina, first of all, congratulations to you and Jamie on your beautiful baby. I wish you all your new family health and happiness.
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention you have been a tremendous supporter of Gouverneur Hospital in the past. And with the budget heating up, I had sent you our state budget asks. I will try to forward that again to you if you need to look over it again. But as you know, we have Roberto Clemente, and that center supports quite a few programs for mental health in the city, and they have been battling against staff shortages for years. And I hope that that is one of your priorities coming up in this coming battle for the budget.
Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. I mentioned the mental health roadmap because I think not only do we have to put together something very comprehensive, but I know that we have models even within our own community of how what we can expand. And I think the Roberto Clemente Center specifically is actually a model for the city in approaching that work in a very culturally humble way. And Ted Long, who's, I guess number 2 at Health and Hospitals, mentioned Roberto Clemente in testimony at a public hearing in the chambers on how that program should be expanded. So that was big talk from executives. I'm hoping that includes real investment that we can see. But please, you can count on me in terms of advocating for our hospitals, Gouverneur, as well as Bellevue, which serves a lot of our district. They're looking for a $15 million investment in their comprehensive psychiatric unit. So that and Gouverneur are at the top of my list in terms of priority. So thank you for your advocacy as well.
Carlin, I'll take yours, and then we're going to move back to public speakers.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Carlina. Great. Congratulations on the baby. Is this
Thank
number
you.
2?
No, it's my first one.
Oh, okay. I'm at loss for time. Okay, the mental health, the governor and the mayor announced the funding for inpatient care. Now, does the council plan include inpatient care? Because, I've noticed kind of the outpatient care isn't really working.
There's a few things in there that includes actually action at the state and federal level. And then it also has a few bills that the council has sponsored, some programming that we want to continue in terms of expanding investments. And certainly in terms of what's working, I mean, that's what we've tried to identify. And you know what, actually, what I'm going to do is in the chat, if that's okay, I'm going to drop the release from the council that has a ton of information about everything in terms of what we're thinking and what we want to do. And so I hope you all will take a look there, and please contact me for anything specific. I think you all know how to reach me, but I'm just so thankful for this time and to see you all, and I'll see you in the streets very soon.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman. Okay. Next up, Amanda, I believe you promoted Kim Behrens, yes?
She's promoted.
Kim?
Kim, you have to unmute.
You so much. Hi, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Kim Behrens. I'm a nurse at Bellevue Hospital Center. As you may already know, that we have a contract coming up with the city, and I ask for your support in the safe staffing ratios, and also more importantly, the pay parity that we have proposed that is comparable to the private hospitals. When the private hospitals released their contract, what beginning and starting nurses make at those private hospital, they make more than what I've earned in the last 14 years of service at Bellevue Hospital. And I know that many of us remained and dedicated to taking care of our patients throughout the pandemic. I suppose we could have left Bellevue and gone to other places, earned 3 times what we were making, but we chose to stay because we believe in the patient population and the community that we serve. And I think we've been told that we're healthcare heroes and so on and so forth. But instead of just talking, let's put some action and credibility to what people are saying about what nurses do at Bellevue. And I implore the board and the community to support us in this fight for pay equity, and also retention of nurses, and promoting other nurses to come and join us, because there's no hospital system like H&H throughout the United States. And we want to remain here. We want to be viable to the community, but that's going to be very, very difficult and challenging if we don't have the nurses support us.
Thank you, Kim. Next up, Melrose. Juana?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Melrose.
Good evening, everyone, for having us here from NISNA. And also, I'm a nurse at Bellevue Hospital Center, and I live on Staten Island, but I've worked with H&H for the past 32 years. But what is going on now with the challenges of healthcare? We need a community to help us. Our contract ended since March 2nd. We're fighting for parity. The reason is that the population we're dealing with, it's very challenging, and not everybody wants to come to work there because the pay is low, and also the population we're dealing with. Since the COVID, and even up to now, we have like Jacobi Hospital, like 25% of the nurses are temporary nurses. They don't know the policies. They don't know the H&H. They don't know the patient population. So if they're hiring more agencies to come to work, and we are there, we're working, we don't have the pay parity like the private sector. We recruiting nurses, they don't stay in. They're leaving to go to private sector because cost of living is high. They have to go there to get the money they need to pay their rent. So we need a community. This is for every one of us living in New York. We're serving the population, we're serving New Yorkers. So we need your help. I mean, thanks to Colina, I mean, she is, Dr. Levin, they are very wonderful. And all of you, the community board, the work you're doing is wonderful, but we have to come together to fight for our community. Healthcare system, the disparity in healthcare system is getting worse. And we want quality care for our residents and for all New Yorkers. You can't just come because it's public hospital, okay, they're not providing quality care. No, that's not our goal. Our goal is when you enter that building, you receive the quality care like any other private hospital in New York City. And also,
thank you, Melrose.
Also, just 1 second, we have our pledge. I want us, please, I don't know if you can see it. We love New York nurses.org. We want everybody to participate. Please, this is it.
Thank you so much. Next, Damaris, I see a hand.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what the nurses needed from CB3 in form of a show of support. Were they asking for some kind of a resolution or a pledge? But it looks like they wanted to announce our ability to, I guess, pledge our support. So if there's another way, it would be nice to know. So I think others on the, other members want to know as well.
We need a pledge of support.
Okay. Susan, is this something that we usually just
Well, the Community Board 3 as a board can't do anything unless it is put on the committee and votes on it, and then votes at the full board at the end of next month. This has not been put on the agenda.
Okay. All right. So I will take Kim and Melrose. I will talk with the committee chairs and bring it on the agenda for next month so that CB3 can do something. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Next up, Valentina.
Hi, I'm here on behalf of the Lower East Side Power Partnership. We continue to have concerns about the impact of the Central Business Tolling Program congestion pricing. One of our issues is the fact that we think there should be exemptions for trucks that bring prescribed medications, over-the-counter medications, food and household supplies to pharmacies as well as grocery stores. The concern is that the tolls that are placed on the trucks that they have to pay, they'll probably be transferred and inflated prices to residents. And you really want people to take their medications. One of the other issues we have is that according to a flyer that stated transportation and the logos from New York State and New York City DOT is on it, basically our understanding is that the FDR drive will not be tolled. And so this flyer states that southbound or northbound FDR Drive between East 10th Street and Brooklyn Bridge would experience adverse effects in the form of increased delays. And so our thought is that those residents that live between 10th Street and Brooklyn Bridge next to the FDR will not have the benefit of any better air quality. The other thing is that residents of this zone will be the only New York City residents that cannot use their cars to get around in their own borough to come home. So that is our issues. That's our concerns about congestion pricing. And the fact is much of the Lower East Side is not a business district, and this is called Central Business Tolling Program. And so we sent a letter to New York City Council member Chris Marte and New York City Council member Carlina Rivera. And so we just think that there's something that the people on the Lower East Side should clearly understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. Next up, Damaris.
Hi, I just wanted to say to Val and to anybody else on the call that this is not an official CB3 thing, but I am part of, in my other capacity of the Central Business Tolling District Technical Advisory Committee under the Environmental Justice Technical Group. I would love to talk to anyone who wants to share any of these concerns, because these meetings do happen, and it is, we want to be able, I want to be able to bring back everything. I mean, I think I know a lot of these issues, but in the chance that I don't, please share your concerns with me so that when I'm, serving in that capacity, I can bring that forward as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Damaris.
I guess
Val, I'm gonna move forward so we can get through the public speaker session, please.
I just wanted to say, if you can, send me your email. That's it. Damaris, send me your email.
Okay, thank you. All right, Stuart Zamsky.
Hi, I'm Stuart Zamsky, an officer of the East 5th Street Block Association. And our block association would like to thank you, Tariq, for the recent changes in the SLA committee. After 2+ years, the community can now breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that the committee again represents a diversity of opinions and can engage in robust discussion of complex SLA issues that greatly affect our neighborhood. In January of 2021, the East 5th Street Block Association was one of 16 District 2 community groups protesting the dismissal of the then chair Alexandra Militano by chairperson Alicia Lewis Coleman. 16 groups received no response from CB3 or the MVP Gail Brewer or our council member Carlina Rivera. Lewis Coleman said the SLA committee was headed in a new direction. And that new direction seemed to parrot the Trump administration's playbook. The committee was gutted. Members with institutional memory were replaced with those ready and desirous to put aside a voice of reason and erode the politics and practices of our committee and the SLA. Problematic outdoor dining was approved for 4 a.m. Precedent was ignored. The committee rewrote SLA policy regarding locations having never been licensed versus being previously licensed, implementing standards that were beneath those accepted by the SLA itself. I was at a committee meeting where an operator's lawyer stated that a known church clearly listed on the SLA LAMP map did not exist. And despite residents' pushback, this fact went unchallenged and the item was approved. The best way to describe the committee since January 2021 until now is crazy town. Tariq, thank you for hearing us and for restoring a semblance of sanity to our SLA committee. We're very grateful.
Thank you, Stuart. Next up, Sarah Romansky.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to echo some similar remarks. I'm here on behalf of the Lower East Side dwellers to express our gratitude for recent actions taken by this board to bring balance back to the SLA committee. Over the past couple of years, the democratic and deliberative process of the committee has been eroding, causing many residents to become discouraged. However, with the recent actions taken by the new chair, we are now buoyed by hope. Chair Durrell has provided strong and steady leadership during a difficult time for the SLA committee, which has been a source of inspiration for many, and has restored the public faith in the community board. His appointment of Arnett Scott, his appointment as acting chair and Clint Smeltzer to the committee has helped bring back that balance, institutional knowledge, and expertise lacking on the committee before. Acting Chair Scott's leadership was marked by empathy and conviction, creating a more welcoming environment for everyone involved at the meeting. The lived realities of residents were taken seriously. She also demonstrated her commitment to hearing residents out, even as midnight approached, and her kind and measured approach brought much needed stability to the process. Mr. Smeltzer's institutional knowledge and understanding of the 500-foot law and the New York's SLA process, the committee has a historical and legal knowledge it previously lacked. This is encouraging for the future, and there is now an opportunity for the new board members to become adequately educated on these important components, including the process, advisories, drafting resolutions, research tools, complex licensing history in the community, and cases that the SLA has been adjudicated in the courts. The misinterpretation about what constitutes public benefit under the 500-foot law and misunderstanding of this community board's 2016 resolution now being erroneously applied by certain members can be corrected with proper guidance and education. We'd also like to thank District Manager Susan Stetzer for her tireless help and guidance before and during the meeting that ended at midnight. Her wisdom and knowledge were invaluable, and efforts exceeded her responsibility to aid in the new acting chair. To the full committee, thank you for upholding the law and your legislative mandate at the meeting. It was encouraging to witness that you did not rubber stamp every application with an accurate public benefit standard in contradiction to the law, particularly in oversaturated areas, or the faith in the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tamara Daly.
Hi. Yeah, hi. Thanks for letting me speak. I'm speaking for the Orchard Street Block Association. I'd like to thank you, the community board chair, as well as the new acting SLA committee chair, for running a fair and respectful meeting last week. I would also like to ask the full board to uphold the denial for the full license for Sunday to Sunday, which was heard last meeting. I believe it was the 17th last week, in keeping with the 500-foot law in this oversaturated area. At last week's meeting, the owner of the business gave this as his reason for needing a full license and later hours to serve, and I'm quoting directly from the transcript of the public meeting. The public benefit is to better monitor the streets. Right now, we close early and you get people who are drunk from every which restaurant who just come over and chill here. And when there is a noise complaint, we are unable to monitor that without having an on-premise license. The issue is when you have these establishments like ours or cafes that are our prominent corners that don't have eyes late at night, you get a lot of these wandering folks who come from Dudley's, Barrio Chino, Casa Mezcal, and Las Lap, who are just now abusing the corner, and you get these 311 calls, and there is no way for us to monitor it without the OP license. Those are direct quotes from the transcript of the public meeting of the SLA committee as to why the owner for Sunday to Sunday needs to upgrade to a full license in a previously unlicensed space in an oversaturated area. So again, just to reiterate, I am asking the full community board to please uphold the decision that the SLA committee made last week, which was a denial in this oversaturated area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tamara. Marcel? Marcel Rocha?
He's muted. I'm asking him to unmute.
Okay.
Still muted.
Marcel, you're still muted. Let me, there you go.
Did you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Sorry about that. First and foremost, I wanted to thank the board for last week's SLA committee meeting. It was a breath of fresh air for us residents to feel that our concerns and struggles are being heard by our community representatives. I commend the board for respecting the 500-foot law and not creating a new liquor license in a previously unlicensed space at 88 Orchard Street, which is within Hell Square 2, one of the most oversaturated and problematic areas in the Lower East Side. In addition, this applicant didn't do any real community outreach, as there were only 3 petition signatures out of 13 total from residents in the immediate area. And out of these, none had a valid apartment number listed. Thank you again for listening to us and for your leadership.
Thank you. Ned?
Hello, my name is Ned Shalansky. I live in the neighborhood and I'm reading a statement on behalf of Eli Diamant, who lives on the same block as Sunday to Sunday. Thank you, CB3 board. I'm speaking to support the decision on the April CB3 SLA committee to deny the liquor license application at 253 through 257 Broome Street. We live on the Lower East Side on Broome Street, where this new liquor license application is located. Our neighborhood is the best place to live for myself and my family, and as a managing director of an established national professional services firm. 3 quick points. First, over the past 2 years, the CB3 SLA committee has created a saturated nightmare for my family and for our neighborhood. The committee under the previous chairs massively accelerated the liquor license saturation in this location. In this saturation, we wake up to puke on our doorstep on the weekend mornings and cops trying to control uncontrollable and unsafe situations almost every weekend just downstairs, which wakes myself and my family on work nights. And I have to show up to work bleary-eyed trying to manage a firm. Walking outside on our street with kids on a weekend night is unsafe. The only way to stop this terrible downward spiral in our neighborhood is to deny new liquor licenses. Second point, saturation is about the community impact and not about any individual application. The density is so high in our neighborhood that this is no longer about good or bad operators or good or bad people. It's wrong and unlawful of committee members to ignore the 500-foot rules and guidelines and claim that a nice applicant or a conscientious operator or a petition demonstrates a public benefit. Third and final point. Thank you to the new chair of the SLA committee, Arnett Scott, for running a balanced, professional, democratic, and civilized meeting in April. Prior to this, over the past 2 years, the committee regularly and unlawfully ignored the rules set forth by the state and instead pursued an aggressive agenda of privileging liquor license applicants and unlawfully muted, removed, blocked, and belittled the normal working people who live in the community and the small business owners who turned up to speak, who object to the neighborhood being taken over by a handful of hospitality business investors. The committee's purpose is to provide balance and a voice for the community and people who don't have voices. not to find ways to sneak more licenses through the door on behalf of lawyered up applicants. Thank you to Chair Scott for representing balance and the rule of law. And thank you, CB3 Chair Doral, for your leadership during a difficult period. Your appointment of Acting Chair Scott and Clint Smeltzer to the committee was a major win for democracy and representation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ned. Go ahead, Lisa.
I'm here tonight, Lisa Kaplan speaking. I'm here tonight to ask for your support for the co-naming of the northeast corner of East 4th Street and Cooper Square, which I think of as the Bowery, as Francis Golden Way. I speak on behalf of the more than a dozen people, many of whom are on this Zoom tonight, including her daughter, Rini, who worked hard to gather approximately 330 supporting signatures from residents and people affiliated with businesses, arts organizations, and other nonprofits in the immediate vicinity of the proposed sign. These signatures demonstrate that the people living and working there recognize the invaluable contribution that Francis made to ensuring that their homes and their workplaces will remain permanently affordable. Francis Golden was an iconic figure, an incredible force for justice on the Lower East Side from the 1940s till her passing in 2020. She was one of the founders and charismatic lead organizers of the Cooper Square Committee. She was a dynamic spokesperson who fought for more than half a century against the racist forces that kept the Seward Park urban renewal area, which is now Essex Crossing, from being developed. One of the new buildings in that development, which houses 99 units of low-income senior housing, has been named for her. She also served on CB3 for several years. Francis Golden's commitment to housing and all other progressive struggles was recognized citywide and even nationally. In the brief minutes I have to speak, I can't begin to mention all of Francis's accomplishments, but I hope you have read the resolution passed by the Transportation Committee, which describes many of them. I can't think of anyone more deserving of permanent recognition on the streets of the Lower East Side. Please support the co-naming of Francis Golden Way.
Thank you, Lisa. Next, Ed Tito Delgado.
He is not able to be here tonight.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Next up, Gurpreet. Gurpreet? Yep.
Sorry. Hello? Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for your time. I'm reaching out as the owner of Sunday to Sunday. We're a small neighborhood restaurant located on 88 Orchard Street. Prior to owning Sunday to Sunday, I was actually the manager at the previous establishment at the same location, which was Irving Farm, for 2 years. I've lived in the Lower East Side for a decade and currently live with my wife and dog on East Broadway in Essex. I'm part of Community Board 3. Last Monday, our case was heard to upgrade our existing restaurant and wine license to an OP full liquor license due to some hiccups. Our case was not heard until 11 p.m. and it was concluded at 11:54 p.m. By this time, certain panelists we believe would have stood by our application, and many members of the public who were ready to support our application had gone to bed. The panel voted to reject our application with a 3-2 vote. I want to start by saying that, as I mentioned last week, we're dropping our request for later hours and are not looking to operate past 11 p.m. on any day of the week. We've been good, positive neighbors to our community over a 3+ years of operation, and we've held a restaurant and wine license for 2+ years. We're a strong, well-liked operators with no marks on our record. If we were granted this OP license, we could do a better job of making our corner a more delightful neighborhood cafe for our patrons and our community. We're dropping our request for later hours, as I mentioned. My business is an asset to the neighborhood. It has demonstrated a track record of respect and compliance. And based on that, I, as a reliable operator who lives in and loves this neighborhood, believe that I've earned the benefit of the doubt to have a full liquor license with a very limited method of operation. And I'll now let other people share their thoughts and opinions. Thank you for hearing from me.
Thank you. Next up, Mariella Morosco.
Hi, my name is Marla Morosco. I live on 81 Ludlow Street, which is 200 feet from Sunday to Sunday. I'm here to condone and support the full liquor license for Sunday to Sunday. It's one of my favorite places in the neighborhood. It always feels like home. I've always felt safe there and comfortable there. Dupree Ralph and the rest of the staff are super lovely and they're great members of the community. Always supporting anything going around in the neighborhood. I would love for it to be open during dinner hours so we can have a little bit more extra time there instead of it closing earlier. Also in the morning, it's one of the go-to places to go to. So it'd be nice for it to have something else to offer besides wine and beer. Also, I'd love to have cocktails like during brunch and then also at dinner. So I am full support from the community of CB3.
Great, thank you. Sam Kessler.
Hi, good evening. Paul, it's my first time joining something like this, but I live at 94 Orchard Street. I'm here to voice my support for the Sunday to Sunday full liquor license. I think Sunday to Sunday is it's a great local establishment. It's very quiet. It's by far it's by far one of the better restaurants and establishments in the area. They definitely make a mean French toast, and I see no reason why they shouldn't be granted their full liquor license. They're in a great neighborhood. They're not by far not troublemakers in the neighborhood. So I don't have much else to say. I just want to keep my statement short and voice my support for them.
Thank you, Sam. And Michael Zealous.
I can't find him. He was on before. Now I can't find him.
I thought I saw him. I saw a message come up in the chat.
Right, but now I can't find him.
Is it just Michael?
No, I think he came up as his full name.
He has something in the chat.
Oh, he said yes, just Michael. So, you see him, Amanda?
No.
Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Yep, got it.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yep.
Yes, we
Oh,
hear you.
hey, great, awesome. Okay, hey, CB3 board, thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Michael. I'm speaking to support the decision of the April CB3 SLA committee regarding item 12, the Sunday to Sunday cafe that's seeking a new full liquor license, and supporting the decision of the committee to deny that. My family and I live at this specific location on Broome Street. I also live in a building of 54 units and speak on behalf of many of the neighbors here. Over the past 3 years, we've watched this quite normal coffee shop transform into a brunch spot and bar with wine and beer. And for whatever reason, prior to Chair Scott, over the past 2 years, the CB3 SLA committee has pumped new licenses into this specific street and block with almost zero restraint and at an accelerated rate. During this time, the committee leadership abdicated their regulatory role to provide balance and representation, and instead, for whatever reason, put the burden entirely on the community of us normal working people to play defense against finance applicants and their attorneys. It's caused our neighborhood to become a total nightmare for people who actually live here. Regarding this specific location, the applicant himself in his own statement last week to the committee described how the neighborhood is failing because of liquor license saturation. And so when this is the case, it doesn't matter if an applicant is a nice or person or a friendly operator or whatever. As people living here, we're stuck with the worst noise, endless trash and vandalism, and extreme safety issues on weekend. Retail diversity is being crushed. And speaking for my family and neighbors, it feels unsafe on the street outside our own building on a weekend evening or with kids. NYPD backs this up with their own call out data for this exact block. 311 says the same thing. The district manager has described it as one of the most problematic locations in the neighborhood. And it's been reported that the chairperson of the New York State Liquor Authority themselves has visited in person, reported the same thing. There are more than 14 licenses on this block and more than 22 within 500 feet. And so this small part of the Lower East Side feels like exactly the reason the saturation, the 500-foot rules exist. Despite this, over the past 2 years, the SLA committee leadership has single-mindedly approved almost every single liquor license, crushing the rules by applying their own interpretation of public benefit and then complaining and whining about the community and steamrolling the neighborhood. We love our neighborhood, we love the Lower East Side, and ask the board to help maintain the balance for everybody and uphold this denial. And echoing earlier speakers, thank you to the CB3 board and specifically Chair Doral for your leadership, and Chair Scott for stepping up at the April meeting and leading with balance, even-handedness, and with a spirit of giving voice to the regular and normal people who live in our community who don't have the time and the resources to turn up at these meetings. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Tariq, that was actually a mistake. He had written that he was supporting the business. So we've now had uneven amount, and we haven't had 4 from supporting the business.
Got it.
So the next person I think would be Sam. Do you want to call another one supporting the business, or?
They're not on what you sent me, right?
Well, I sent you another batch of people, the second batch of people supporting the business. If you want to, it's because it's now uneven.
Okay, so is Sam Zimmerman on?
Yeah, I don't see
Hi.
him.
Yes, I am on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hi, Sam. Go ahead, Sam.
Hi, thanks. Hi, my name's Sam. I'm a Lower East Side resident and a member of the Dime Square Block Association. I'm also here to comment on this month's SLA committee meeting, but unlike most of the people who spoke before me, I believe the conduct of the meeting was unfair both to members of the community and to applicants. To start, the new chair stated during the meeting that she was not prepared for the meeting. And I think that's reflected in the time that the meeting took, which was nearly 5.5 hours, ending shortly before midnight. I was one of the people who would have stayed to support 88 Orchard Street, but could not due to the length. A meeting that long is not accessible to the community and doesn't give people who work evenings or have childcare concerns a meaningful opportunity to participate. The only people who comment under those conditions are the dedicated anti-liquor license activists, like those who spoke before me. At the beginning of the meeting, when the agenda was announced, there was a brief pause so public member Clint Smeltzer could text a resident to join the meeting to comment in opposition to the first application. That friend was then allowed to comment first because she needed to return to work. I asked if I could be notified when the application I wanted to comment on would be heard, but was told that was a special arrangement between the committee member and this resident. It's not appropriate for friends of committee members to be given preferential treatment in when they testify or the notifications they receive. After the meeting, I heard that the applicant that's been discussed, 88 Orchard Street, was denied. I understand the applicant asked the committee to withdraw and return after doing more community outreach, and the committee refused to let him and told him more community outreach would not affect the committee's decision. I think that was unfair not only to the applicant, but to members of the community. We should be encouraging applicants to engage more with the community. Suggesting that more outreach won't affect the committee's decision indicates that the committee doesn't care about the community's perspective, isn't going to insert their own point of view. I also think it was inappropriate and incorrect to tell the applicant that the committee's view would not change. I think the vote was 3-2. And as was mentioned, there were multiple committee members who had dropped off at that point as it was nearly midnight. So it's quite possible that the outcome would be different if the full committee voted. So I think this applicant was treated unfairly and the board should reconsider this application. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. And I have to follow up with you as well, so thank you. Susan, is
the other ones that I sent you, it seemed like they were all wanting to speak to support the Sunday to Sunday business, which is already had now for people. So that I believe that's 4. And so the others, I don't know, people are raising their hands.
okay, I have Robin here. So I'm going to grab Robin and then we're going to move on to the elected official reports. Go ahead, Robin.
Hi, thanks. I've heard this Dime Square Block Association name mentioned, but I don't know who they are. I don't think they're an organization or a real, I don't know who they are. I live a few blocks away. So I'm curious if they're a real entity that has some sway in what goes on in the Lower East Side streets of Canal and Orchard and Hester and Division. So I'm curious about that. If that can be clarified, that'd be great.
Susan, are you able to clarify this?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you able to clarify the Dime Square Block Association?
Anybody can declare themselves. We don't have any criteria. Anyone can declare themselves a block association.
Okay.
There's 3 people or 2 people raising their hands on the attendees. I assume those are people that aren't being called on because there's already been 4 speakers. I'm not sure.
Yes, we are going to move on to the elected official reports.
Okay.
Okay. And so.
Oh, Lisa's saying she signed up Willie Rio to speak. I don't know if I don't think I got that. I don't know if it was after.
All right, well, we can clear it up later. I'm going to
Okay,
move on to the elected official reports, okay? If you can follow up with them after, okay? Thank you. For those that are raising their hand, I receive a PDF of all the public speaker forms. And so we've gone through all of those. I'm going to have our district manager, Susan, follow up with you. And I'll also make sure to follow up with you as well, okay? After this meeting, thank you. Next up, Mayor Eric Adams, Robin Forst.
Hi, good evening. Nice to be here. Thank you. I have just 2 brief announcements. One is to remind people that the Summer Rising program applications launched on April 17th, and they will close on May 1st. This is a wonderful program for school children who are in need of additional support. Over the summer, there are over 100,000 spots, and to make the process more equitable, it's no longer a first come, first serve basis, but I encourage you to go to the portal on nyc.gov if you are interested, or you have a neighbor, a friend, or family member who might be interested in taking advantage of this program. The other thing I wanted to mention is that CAU, under legislation approved by the City Council, is going to be coordinating a citywide quality of life initiative. The initiative will basically be offered to communities, community boards, police precinct councils, bids, and so forth, to try to understand issues of concern in terms of quality of life issues. There's an application process. This community board has received information about it, as have, I think at this point, all community boards. And we are looking forward to hearing how communities want to help our group, our office, the mayor, in quote, whose mantra is get stuff done. And we are interested in hearing from you about issues, quality of life issues that are of particular concern, to see if we as a city and an agency can help address them in a somewhat different manner. So that's it for me. I thank you for having me, and I will take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Robin. I think I see Susan's hand only.
Yeah, hi, Robin. So we emailed back and forth about this on Friday, and it seemed we have lots of quality of life concerns, as you just heard. But I was, from the announcement, it sounded like the type of concerns were limited to certain types of issues. So I wanted to be able to let people know, can they have input on anything, or is it the certain issues that were in the email?
The issues in the email were really by way of example rather than a limiting factor. But if you want, we can certainly talk offline about thoughts you have. These are sort of larger scale quality of life issues, not a single response to a specific situation, loud noise at an establishment, for example. But, more widespread and systemic issues that communities are facing. So as I say, Susan, give me a call tomorrow and I'm
Okay.
happy to talk further with you. Thank you.
Carlin, and then we're going to move on to the next report.
Yes, good evening there. When we talk about systemic issues, we do have a mental health problem within our district. So going back to the mayor and the governor's announcement about adding inpatient care beds, do you have any numbers? I haven't seen anything in the press about this. Do you know how many beds have been added since the announcement? Thank you.
I have no information about numbers, but there is, a real commitment by both to increase, the spending in this area. It's an awareness and a concurrent decision to allocate resources to deal with the mental health crisis.
Could you research the numbers of added beds or whatever and send it to our Susan there or something?
I will see what I can find out. I don't know if it's been completely expressed, but I will definitely look into it and I'll get back to Susan.
Amanda, thank you. Thank you, Robin. Thank you so much. Amanda, can you do me a favor? Can you promote Lauren to speak on behalf of Sunday to Sunday? And then I'm moving on to the elected officials. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Lauren.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Lauren. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you for recognizing me. I really feel strongly about speaking because the funny thing is that I happen to live in the same building as someone else who spoke against the Sunday to Sunday application. And I am completely in favor for this establishment getting a liquor license. And I'll tell you why. First of all, I've been living down here since this building was built and I have a terrace. I'm out on my terrace all the time. And it's true. It's noisy down here. There are drunk people down here. It is crazy. I chose to live here. I love it. Everyone who lives here chose to live here. They didn't move here. And this isn't a new thing going on. This has been going on forever down here. That being said, Sunday to Sunday is one of the few family establishments down here where it's great. My in-laws come in, my parents come in. It's where they want to go because it's not this rowdy, noisy, and it's not built in a way that it's ever going to attract these drunken, loudy, noisy people to come party. It's a small little establishment with a little outdoor area. And we always lament that, wow, wouldn't it be nice to have a mimosa with breakfast or being able to have a glass of wine with dinner? Their pasta is amazing. My mother loves the eggs. My kids come in. My son is in the Air Force and stationed out of town. He comes in. It's the first place he asks to go. They started serving muffins when they first opened. I love the muffins so much. I went in and asked them, hey, can you make a cake out of one of these muffins? Sure. They did it. No problem. They made it specially for me. They made me muffins to take on vacation. I take these cakes for Christmas, for Easter, for all the holidays. My entire family enjoys them and loves them. They've been nothing but a welcomed addition to me because I lived down here when it was Irving Coffee. And since they've opened, it's the same quiet, lovely, much more welcoming, much more broad spectrum establishment. And the owners have done nothing but support this community. And like I said, I have a terrace. I'm outside all the time. I have a big terrace. I can wave to Sunday. There's no noise coming from them. There's no drunken people coming from them. There's no anything coming from them. And that's whether it's during the week, during the weekend, and you're not going to see it because if you look at the people that are there, it's people with their dog, it's people with their children, it's people maybe my age. So I just, I really want to speak in favor of having that license. I feel they're being unduly punished because of maybe something that's going on around here where other establishments have been giving licenses that are very much party establishments and they're being penalized for something that's not their fault.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
We are finished with the public section. Okay. I am now going on to Public Advocate Jamani Williams. Is Curtis Young on, or anyone from his office? Amanda, do you see anybody? No. Okay. Comptroller Brad Lander. Evelyn Collado. Nope. Okay. Borough President Mark, he spoke. District Attorney Alvin Bragg.
Oh, he said he couldn't come tonight.
Okay. Congressmember Dan Goldman. I saw name. She put. Hey, there you are.
Thank you. Just dropped our community board report in the chat for those who wants to take a detailed look. I will bring, I will talk a few, I'm not obviously not going to, go over the entire board report. I will talk quickly about a couple of things. One quick thing is passport backlog. The passport, as the summer coming up and that people are traveling, there's a huge backlog in the passport office because passport office are, in addition to processing the passports that are expiring now, passport office are also catching up with all those passports that didn't expired during the pandemic that people didn't apply. So it's additional value. That's why they have huge backlogs. So, anybody who has a international trip coming up and your passport is not getting renewed, please contact our office. But please, try to contact us maybe like 2 weeks ahead of time. Don't contact us the day before you leave and you don't have your passport, then it becomes very difficult. We do the best we can to serve our constituents. And then the second, USPS mail issues, Congressmember Dan sent a letter to the United States Postal Service Postmaster General, urging him to address the rise in mail theft from USPS mailboxes in New York City. Our office has received numerous complaints from our constituents that have their vital documents stolen, the mail theft. That's, I'm sure a lot of people feel it's impacting their lives. And in addition, Congressmember Goldman co-sponsored a bipartisan legislation that's going to give more enforcement power to the Postal Service to enforce against mail theft crimes. And then one last legislation about for mental health. Congressmember Goldman sponsored the Michelle Go Act. We know, as this has been brought up in this community board many times, that our country lost many mental health beds over the past decades because there is a ban in Medicaid to fund mental health beds, long-term mental health beds in health facility that have more than 12 beds. And then that basically means Medicaid is not going to pay for mental health beds in large institutions. And the Michelle Go Act, sponsored by Congressmember Goldman, is going to lift that ban and then making it easier for our communities to have these mental health beds and and substance abuse treatment beds that's going to combat the long-term needs of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Jasper for Assemblymember Grace Lee.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. As far as updates from our office goes, as you may know, the state assembly and the state legislature is still involved in negotiations for this year's budget, although traditionally and technically that should have been done earlier in April. It looks like we're in the final stretch now. This will hopefully be the last week. From my perspective, our office is proud to support a couple different initiatives that align with our priorities, including most notably renewed funding for the ERAP, Emergency Rental Assistance Program, that is intended to cover the arrears of applicants to the program who haven't received funding because they live in public or subsidized housing. And then the other thing is funding for what's called the Equity Budget Coalition, which is kind of a coalition of Asian-led organizations that will act to disperse this funding to more smaller, locally based AAPI organizations throughout the state. We also, unrelated to the budget, but we just introduced our first bill as an office in our freshman term, which we're informally calling the Asian Curriculum Bill, which is a bill that will mandate the inclusion of Asian American history in New York public school curriculums. As far as notable upcoming events, this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., we're partnering with Vision Urbana to host a resource distribution for asylum seekers. This will be hosted at University Settlements Neighborhood Center, which is at 189 Allen Street. This week, we are in the process of accepting donations of things like toys, clothes, and other essentials for the families in need. We're currently accepting donations tomorrow and Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Vision Urbana Community Center, which is at 296 East Street, between buildings B and C. I'll send all that. I'll put all the information in the chat so you guys can have it. But we would be very happy to accept any donations from you guys that you'd be willing to give. But yeah, that concludes the brief updates from our office. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Jasper.
Yeah.
Next up, Tracy from Assemblymember Deborah Glick's office.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm still recovering from an eye surgery, so I can't see you unless I get really close to the screen, so I apologize. I'll be brief. As Jasper just said, the legislature is still working on the state budget that was due April 1st. So the assembly member is pretty preoccupied with that work. We did today have just in time to finish out the Earth Day celebrations. Her bill, the Birds and Bees Protection Act, passed today. It would ban the sale and use of seeds coated with certain pesticides, and it also requires the Department of Environmental Conservation to keep reviewing scientific information about certain pesticide ingredients. So that's an important environmental bill. It's sponsored in the Senate by Senator Brad Hoylman Siegel. So we'll see if it moves there. And then I'll just highlight one other thing. On Friday, the assembly member was able to leave Albany for the day, which was very nice. And she was able to spend some time rallying with a coalition of young climate activists, New York Renews, the Fridays for Future NYC group, and a few others, the 6th Street Community Center, and an organization called Tree Age, all high school and young college students who are, many of you may know, are very passionate and well-informed young activists who really spend a lot of time working on environmental conservation issues and climate change mitigation. So the assembly member was really happy to rally with them last Friday, and specifically to highlight a bill that she sponsors, the Climate and Community Protection Fund, which we hope will pass soon. So that's all. I'll keep it brief, and I will go ahead and put our board report in the chat. And if anyone has any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Next up is Assemblymember Harvey Epstein Chanel.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here with the whole community tonight. It's been a great meeting, a lot of issues that I'm happy to take back to Assemblymember Epstein. As you just heard from my counterparts, all of our Assembly and Senate members from CB3 are up in Albany, still negotiating that budget and fighting for the issues that matter most to this community. Assemblymember Epstein himself, he's fighting to protect tenant rights, basement apartments and cellar apartments. He's promoting good court eviction. He's fighting to protect bail reform, fair wages for home care. He's fighting to increase the minimum wage to a living wage and for more green jobs. Abortion, he wanted me to let you guys know that abortion remains safe and legal in New York State, despite the 2 federal court rulings released this month. I just want to give a shout out that his CUNY and SUNY abortion bill passed in the Assembly and the Senate. So we're hoping to get the governor's signature. That's going to guarantee free medical abortion to every student on a SUNY or CUNY campus. I'm gonna leave it at that because we've all been here and I'm sure we're gonna continue to hear the great issues that all of our electeds are fighting for. But we do have an event coming up on Saturday. We co-sponsor with Carlina's office for a park bench painting at Tompkins Square Park. We know those summer months are coming and we want our park to be beautified. So we'll be out there on Saturday, April 29th. I think it starts at 1, but the information is going to be in the CB3 report, which I will leave in the chat. And then lastly, we're promoting our New York State Assembly Summer Reading Challenge. So if you are a part of an after-school program, one of the schools in the neighborhood, or maybe a summer camp, and you want to visit from your assembly member to see the students and promote the reading program, please reach out so I can schedule that for June. We really want to try to get as many students in the district involved in that. And I'm trying to scrounge up some prizes for our students who are going to participate in that. So hopefully I can get some donations and I'll be able to announce that at the next meeting. It was a pleasure being here tonight, as always. I hope to see all of you guys around the district. Have a good evening, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you, Chanel. Next up, State Senator Brian Kavanaugh, Ms. Pat Olin.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm going to make it very, very short, just to echo everybody. Negotiations, the state budget are still ongoing. Unfortunately, we don't have a sense of when things will wrap up, hopefully soon. Outside of the budget, the senator jointly wrote an op-ed with Assemblymember Rosenthal, chair of the Assembly Housing Committee, advocating the Housing Access Voucher Program, which they sponsor the respective houses and would provide rental assistance vouchers to people who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. The senator also introduced a number of new bills related to health and environmental conservation. One to ban 5 commonly food additives that have shown harmful to health effects and have already been banned in other countries. He's hopefully another bill to establish new targets and timelines for New York's offshore wind electricity generation, and another bill to require producer responsibility for the collection and recycling of refrigerants. And on the local front, we're assisting with Smith House's boiler replacement project to reduce the housing footprint from fossil fuels to steam. And we're also assisting First Houses on roof replacement project with pre-construction meetings and the resident association meetings. We've done outreach to community leaders and resident associations requesting tabling at summer community events and family days. And we're also working with Reese Houses Resident Association on their concerns and questions on the proposed soil remediation. There's been a sign-on letter with Harvey Epstein, so we shall see what we shall see. That's about it for me, and thank you so very, very much.
Go ahead, Carlin.
This has nothing related to what you just said. I just want to go back to the February full board when I questioned Councilmember Marty why he hesitated to fire his staffer Stephen Wong over sexist remarks. And I asked you a question whether there was a process that had to go through the council, the council speaker's office, and which you said yes. So, the community board is a bunch of, we're a body of volunteers. So it's very disrespectful for you to lie in front of this body.
Carlin, I'm sorry, who was that addressing?
I was addressing Pat Olin.
Okay. Pat, we're gonna
back in February, I had asked Pat Olin whether there was, because since she used to be Margaret Chin's staffer, whether there was a process for a council member to fire an at-will employee, and she collaborated Christopher Marty's statement that he had to go through a process at the city council, which wasn't true. And she knew this. So for her to lie to this body is fairly disrespectful.
Harlan, I did not lie. There is a process, as the council member described. As far as I know, there's process. Now, if the process has been ignored, or if you have a misunderstanding.
Mr. Chair,
of
I
the
think this is
process-
out of order.
Yes.
I believe this question and answer is out of order.
Thank you, Lee. Carlin.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the next report. Is Jennifer here from the count? Thank you, Lee, for calling that out. Is Jennifer here from Councilmember Christopher Marte's office?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me fine?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear.
Great. Our office is working to help folks who have been displaced by recent accidents in the neighborhood. The council member immediately went onto the scene where the parking garage collapsed within the financial district. I'm sure many of you have seen on the news by now. Our office is actively working with the tenants in neighboring buildings where there are vacate orders. We're also in touch with tenants from the 47 Mott Street fire, trying to secure temporary housing for folks while pushing for all tenants to gain access to the building again. Councilmember Marte has also held a press conference in Little Italy to celebrate the expansion of the ACE program, a community cleanup program that hires formerly homeless individuals. Last year, we expanded the program to Delancey Street, and after positive feedback from community members, we decided to expand it into Little Italy as well, especially during high tourist seasons. The council member also held a rally in front of City Hall to push the speaker to pass Intro 175, a bill that would end the 24-hour workday for home attendants. I'm also happy to announce that we can finally share the winners of participatory budgeting. The top 3 projects that received the most votes were planting new trees throughout the district, upgrading PS 110 playground equipment, and finally renovating Rucker House's playground. And our office will also be hosting 2 community events in the upcoming weeks that everybody can share and come out to. The first one is a skate night at Tanahit Playground on May 5th from 4 o'clock to 5:30. There's going to be a family skate session. And then afterwards from 6 o'clock to 7, we are going to have an adult skate session. Sorry. And you don't need to bring skates. They will be provided by the Parks Department. And so thank you to the Parks Department for their collaboration in making this possible. We're also hosting a community cleanup event on Saturday, May 13th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that event is going to be in collaboration with the Sanitation Foundation. I will link it after I'm done speaking to the chat, so whoever's interested can register. And finally, we do still have our clothing drive for the migrant families. Everyday families are still coming in and taking what they need. And for now, we're asking that if folks can hold off on donating winter clothes, there's actually a high need for spring clothes and summer clothes as the warm weather is here. And we will also welcome donations of toys and school supplies as well. And I will also drop my info in the chat so people can reach out for further questions, or if you have any issues you want to share with our office.
Thank you, Jennifer. I see 2 hands. David, go ahead. David Adams.
Still muted.
He's unmuted. I just don't think his mic is working.
Yeah. Carlin, go ahead.
Regarding the tenants, displaced tenants from 47 Mott Street fire, how many have been placed in temporary housing by your office or any other city agency?
I don't have the exact number, but I can ask my colleague and we can get back to you on that.
Thank you, Jennifer. David, I'm going to come back to you really. See. Okay. We're going to move forward. Thank you all. And we had Councilmember Carlina Rivera's report early on, so thank you. Larissa, I'm going to move to you for a roll call and approval of minutes for February 2023.
Absolutely, thank you. Start with David Adams.
His mic is still off, so.
Okay, but you do see him there.
He's on, yeah.
Okay, terrific. Okay, counting and present. Thank you so much for confirming. Yaron Altman,
Yes.
Sarah Rose Bachu,
Yes.
Lee Berman,
Yes.
Ana Calderon. Ana? Okay, absent. Carlin Chan,
Yes.
David Crane.
Present.
Present, thank you. Eric Diaz,
Yes, present.
Tariq Darrell,
Present.
Alistair Economakis,
Yes. Yes.
Jamie Felber,
Here.
Larry Fenn,
Here.
Shirley Fennessy, Shirley, Catherine Freed,
Present.
Ryan Gilliam, Ryan Gilliam,
I don't think she's on.
thank you. Deborah Glass,
Present.
thank you. Jake Gold,
He's not
Jake?
on. He's not on.
Andrea Gordillo,
Present.
Keniel Hernandez,
Present.
Herman Hewitt,
Present, yes.
Trevor Holland,
Present.
Valentina Jones,
Present.
Jeanette Kim, Jeanette Kim,
Not on.
Michelle Cooper Smith,
Present.
May Lee,
Present.
Wendy Lee,
Present.
Alicia Lewis Coleman, Alicia, Amanda Liu,
Yes.
David Louie, David, Laura Lugo,
Here.
Damaris Reyes, Damaris, I thought I saw her earlier, no?
This is unmuting backwards.
There you are. Okay, I knew I saw you. Okay. Richard Ropiak,
Present.
Thomas Rosa,
Present.
Robin Chattel,
Present.
Heidi Schmidt,
Yes.
Arnett Scott,
Yes.
Larissa Shaneberg is present, Sandra Struther, Sandra, don't see her, Daniel Tano,
Present.
Josephine Velez,
Yes.
Troy Velez, Troy? Nope. Rodney Washington,
Present.
Joshua Waterman,
Yes.
Kathleen Webster,
Yes.
Jackie Wong, Jackie, and Jula Yang.
Present.
Great. Okay, that concludes roll call.
This is David Adams. I think I got myself unmuted.
Oh, David, thank you very much. I
Thank you,
will
David.
correct you
Yes.
in the,
I got
roll.
I was doing 06 instead of *6.
oh, there you go.
Thank you.
I just, Mike, If I can make the comment, I was just wondering about the garage collapse. There was a problem with the added weight of electric vehicles with the batteries. I think there's a concern about that. That's a possibility. That's all.
David, we'll make sure to get that. I don't think Jennifer's on anymore.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Ooh. All right. Can I lean on you, Amanda, to update on vacancies election, and then we'll just update everyone, and then we'll ask the candidates to speak. Okay.
Yep. Great. So I can give the update on the special elections nominations. The nomination period has closed, and for the roles that are open, I will list the nominees. So starting with first vice chair, we have Andrea Gordillo. With second vice chair, we have Eric Diaz. And with secretary position, we have Laura Lugo. Now, all three of these open roles are uncontested. And the way that we will be voting is through a roll call vote. I'll pause there if anyone has any questions, but I think that should be pretty straightforward.
Yep. And so we'll go in that order. I'm gonna have Andrea first, then Eric, and then Laura share, a few brief remarks on their nomination and candidacy. Okay, Andrea, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for nominating me, Josh specifically, but thanks to the rest of the exec committee and Amanda in particular for coordinating the nominations committee. Most of you know me by now. I'm Andrea Gordillo. I've lived on 7th Street for 11 years, and I love this community. It's shaped a lot of my life, and the reason why I accepted the nomination, I'm interested in being vice chair, is precisely because of those reasons. I get to work collaboratively with my neighbors across different sectors, and I'm excited to work on different issues with all of you and be of service. So yeah, and one thing I'd like to see us I'd like to see us do this year is bring back kind of mentors. I think I had brought this up with some folks as we bring on newer members. I really would love to see us build a bench of future executive committee members and kind of mentor each other. And yeah, that's one thing I would love for us to do. So thanks again for the nomination.
Thank you, Andrea. We're going to move on to the second vice chair nomination, Eric Diaz.
Hello, good evening, Community Board 3. I've let the chair know, I let the district office know my support is for the chair, specifically Tariq, and in any capacity that I can support the work that needs to be done, I'm happy to do so. And so, being nominated as second vice chair, I accept it gladly to continue the work. I've done this work in the past, happy to do it again and continue, so long as it supports the work that needs to be done here at Community Board 3. I offer myself to do that. And thank you all for your trust and support. For new members, second vice chair is fun. Well, it can be, just the ability to, an opportunity to work with the chair, work with the district office is, a high calling. So for new members next year, or this November, I guess, elections, take a stab at it. But so then happy to fill the role and do the work that I know I've done in the past and that needs to be done. Thank you all.
Thank you, Eric. Next up, Laura Lugo.
Good evening, buenas tardes.
Hi. I just came out so I can have a little bit more quiet. So I'm hoping you guys can enjoy the hallway while I'm out here as well. This is a Reese hallway. Isn't it gorgeous? I wanted to be very transparent in the fact that I know I was elected to be a secretary for last year, and I did not feel supported in the position at the time. And now I do. I have felt as though I can speak a little bit more to those that are around me. And I'm actually going to go off the word that Andrea used, which was mentor, because that's what I thought we were going to be getting when I joined CB3. I thought instead of just complimenting our mature generation, telling them how wonderful they are, they would actually embrace the younger generation a little bit more and take us under their wing. And I'm happy that certain mature members have reached out and have agreed to show me around the neighborhood, tell me a little bit more about Lower East Side. As everyone knows, my family and I selected Lower East Side because we felt that this was the community we wanted to raise our children in. We wanted to provide them with a great foundation. And in order to do that, I have to be the advocate that I am known to be. So I would like this opportunity to be the secretary again, feeling stronger and more supported in the role. And I'm pretty sure that I will be able to accomplish it a bit better this time. So I'm hoping for that opportunity. Thank you, CB3.
Thank you, Laura. Where is David? Is he on? David, is there, what's usually the, do we just go into the roll call vote here?
Yeah, that's what you had discussed. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Larissa, can we do a roll call? David, do we do it on each position or just kind of a?
It does it however you feel, I believe. I think you can ask people for three, for their 3 votes, and it'll go a little faster maybe.
Okay, so Larissa, we'll do a roll call. And I'm asking everyone to give their 3 votes so that Larissa can mark that down. Okay.
So I'm just to make sure I'm clear, we're asking them for each to vote yes 3 times. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Can you just say yes?
Yes, Kathy. Yes, right. So yes to all, or if you have an opposing, you just name the opposing. Okay.
Thank you. To name the opposing. Okay, that is better. Thank you so much for clarifying. So let's go into the roll call vote. First up is David Adams.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yaron Altman.
Yes to all.
Sarah Rose Bachu.
Yes to all.
Lee Berman. Lee?
Yes to all.
Yes, there we are. Okay. Carlin Chan.
Yes.
David Crane.
I'm going to abstain on second vice chair. Yes to the other 2.
Thank you. Eric Diaz.
Yes.
Tariq Darrell.
Yes.
Alistair Economakis.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Jamie Felber.
Yes, across the board.
Larry Finn.
Yep.
Shirley Fennessy. Oh, sorry, she's absent. Catherine Freed.
Yes to all.
Deborah Glass. Deborah?
Sorry, yes to all.
Thank you. Jake Gold. Oh, sorry, Andrea Gordillo.
Yes.
Kenny L. Hernandez.
Yes to all 3.
Herman Hewitt. Herman?
Yes to all 3.
Thank you. Trevor Holland.
Yes to all.
Valentina Jones,
Yes to all.
Michelle Cooper Smith,
Yes to all.
Mei Lee,
Yes to all.
Wendy Lee,
Yes to all.
Amanda Liu,
Yes to all.
David Louie, David, I'll give you a little more time. I know you have difficulty unmuting.
That was David Adams. David Lewis not here.
Oh, sorry. I thought we had David Louie who said he, okay, that was David Adams. Thank you. So he was absent. Okay, I'll correct that. Because I did get him. Okay, Laura Lugo,
Yes to all.
Damaris Reyes,
Yes to all.
Richard Robiak,
Yes, yes, yes.
Thomas Rosa,
Yes to all.
Robin Chattel,
Yes to all.
Heidi Schmidt.
Yes to all.
Thank you. Arnett Scott,
Yes to all.
Larissa Shainberg, yes to all three. Daniel Tano,
Yes to all three.
Josephine Velez,
Yes.
Rodney Washington,
Yes to all.
Joshua Waterman,
Yes to all.
Kathleen Webster,
Yes to all.
and July Yang.
Yes to all.
Okay, that concludes our roll call vote.
Great, thank you, Larissa. I think we finally I have some support now, I think. Yay. Exciting. Congrats to Andrea, Eric, and Laura, and welcome to exec, some again. What I also want to say is, Larissa, I want to also thank you for, Larissa did resign from the secretary position and offered to serve as secretary over the 2 months. So to support the work so that we can continue to move forward. So thank you, Larissa. Appreciate you in doing that.
It's been my pleasure to serve with you, Tariq. I wish everyone the best of luck in their positions and continued support for you.
Thank you. That was high note, little sad note, but Kenyelle, who was our secretary, has resigned from the position. And so that will open up a secretary position, which we will do a special election for. So I will coordinate again with Amanda. We'll send an email out, let you know when the nominations are due, and same process. And then we'll host the vacancy election for the secretary role in what month? May, if my brain can come together. All right. So Kenyelle, is there anything you want to say?
I do. I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure serving on this board, especially on the executive. I have high respect and admiration for all the board members. They're doing great things. This is volunteer work, and I commend you all. I'll miss the board. I won't be on as a CB3 member, but you'll still see me on doing my my job title. So I'll still be around, but under a different title. I wish you all the best, and it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenyelle. Thank you, Kenyelle. I was so sad. All right, thank you. Robin? I don't know if your hand.
I can't applaud, so I'm just up and down my hand.
I just see her hand going.
There's no applauding. There's no applaud, whatever it is.
Thank you. Okay. We're
That's
gonna
Robin's version of high-fiving, I guess.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
We're going to move on to the board reports. Board Chair, Borough President Mark Levine spoke a little bit about the tree initiative and the 100 tree that Borough Board passed. There's also a letter that all of the board chairs in Manhattan are sending to DOT around open streets and the comment period and extending the comment period. It was a conversation we had, and other community boards didn't have the support from DOT, so that's a conversation that we are just getting on a shared letter to support that. And yeah, I want to say there's 2 months of getting into this role, and you know, a lot of questions about direction, where we're going, what we're doing, all of that. I hope now that we have a more full exec office team where I can get a little bit more support in the day-to-day work, we'll be able to move this forward. Susan has done a tremendous job, and it's been really, really nice collaborating and working with Susan over the past 2 months, but we've had other positions that we needed right, to do some of the work, and Amanda's taken on more than her role, and so I want to thank Amanda for that. But it's truly been all hands on deck, and although I love operating like that in the community and collaborating in that way, I love to collaborate with all hands on deck, but I do it can get stressful when you have other things to do, right? So and other things to tend to. So I do want to thank every single person since I was appointed in for your support, for voicing your concerns. They're heard, and we're working towards it. So I just want to make sure you know that if I'm not responding to an email as fast enough, there's a lot coming in, right? So we're getting to it, okay? I'm going to shift over to our district manager's report.
Okay, thank you, Tariq. First, I have to talk again, I'm sorry, about OCM, Office of Cannabis Management, because it will be impacting also our agenda for the coming month. I had reported that I couldn't get any information or procedure from OCM on what happened on our resolution that we voted on in January. I kept trying to call until about 2 weeks ago. My emails weren't answered, my phone calls weren't answered. I got one response, basically because elected officials said, please call Susan back. And so I got one response saying, sorry, there is no procedures. Unfortunately, nothing I can tell you. So there was a cannabis control board meeting about 2 weeks ago, and I knew that the agenda location we had voted on at 3 East 3rd would be on the agenda. And so I desperately wanted to know how we could impact that, whether I could, testify as to our resolution. Again, I couldn't get answers, but then Harvey called the chair of the control board, and in 2 seconds got the information we needed. And we were told that, or he was told that the law does not allow the control board to deny the location after the provisional approval. So this kind of brings up the question, what are we voting on if there is no way for our resolution to be considered? What exactly are we voting on, and why? And why isn't there a way to consider our resolutions? I did ask for an extension on time originally, because the 30 days does not give us enough time. And I did, after the exec meeting last week, I did get an extension. But I explained that I had brought the issue up in the exec committee and asked whether I should put it on the agenda. We now have a request for an application at 85 Delancey. And I asked whether, there's various options. We could put it on the agenda and speak to the applicant and not vote. We could vote on it. Or we could vote on a resolution saying we weren't voting on the application because our resolutions weren't being considered. The exec decided that we should definitely hear from the applicant. He will be on the agenda, and but the vote will be to OCM to talk about the process that does not allow a resolution to be considered. So it's been a very disappointing process. This process is for the justice involved applications. We have submitted comments, if you remembered, that will pertain to the next batch of applications, which will be the regular retail. So things I expect will be very different then, but we will still be hearing justice involved applications, I expect, for a few months. So that's the story on that. I did explain to the applicant that we wanted to know about the business, be able to speak to them, but that it would be informational. Another issue that has come up at one of the meetings, people in the public had asked about Compost Plaza Community Center. I think it was the Daily News wrote an article about it. The sewage has been backing up. University Settlement holds programs there. It has not been usable probably for at least a month, probably longer. And I just wanted to let everyone know that all the elected officials and the community board office have been working with University Settlement and NYCHA on this issue. Congressman Dan Goldman's office has been taking the lead. He actually came to a meeting there at Compost with NYCHA. They will be getting about 10 weeks of work. We still need to find out more information about what's causing the problems. They will be replacing the gym floor and finding out if the rest of the center can be used. And some good news, at 45 Avenue D, Bowery Mission, at one time it had a shelter there. They decided not to renew their contract. It's been empty for a while. They were planning to sell it for luxury co-ops. No surprise there. And a number of members of our community kind of came together, and Val Orselli called both the council office, Carolina's office, and called me to say we needed to do something to not have it be luxury co-ops. I called David Garza at Henry Street Settlement because I know they're always looking to be a provider in more spaces. Carolina's office worked with Bowery Mission and Henry Street Settlement. And DHS has now sent out an email saying that they're seriously looking into creating 109 single adult woman shelter there that would open in 2025. There will be a community advisory board. This is not a done deal. They're working on it, but it looks like it's really going in a good direction. And the last thing I want to report on is that we will be beginning our budget process for expense budgets and capital budgets for agencies. We will be voting in October, but the process will be starting this summer. I was hoping we'd have new members before we started into reminding everybody about the procedures. It is on the agenda for most committees next month, and I will be coming to the meetings to talk about next steps. And that's it, and I see there's 2 questions. Damaris?
Hi, Susan. Thanks for your report. I just wanted to raise one issue that perhaps when you meet with NYCHA and your talks about compost and the sewage backup, that is an actual problem in most of the NYCHA developments. So I'd be very interested to know why they're taking these measures at Campos and not at other places, because at Baruch, for example, there are 2 spaces that continuously get flooded for many, 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 many years. It is a scheduled maintenance issue that happens at these developments. They have to clean a certain part of the sewage infrastructure, and if they don't stay on top of it, it always backs up. So this is a problem across the board. So I hope that when you meet with them, that you can bring this up and maybe we can talk a little bit more about it, because you know it now that there's construction in Baruch, it looks like it's going to be better on the grounds, but like it was so bad that in some of the developments it actually comes out of the pipes from the front of the building and spews onto the front of the entryway, and people have to walk over tissue, and I don't want to tell you what else.
No, I can imagine.
So thank you for, for bringing some attention to it, and let me know if I can be of any help and any service in that. But please, let's try to let them know that it's a real big issue, because I would love to have that addressed across the board. Thank you.
I think it would be great if we could get, so the reason we knew about this one is because University Settlement held their program there. They emailed everybody. We did a walkthrough and it was like you described. It was so bad. It seems that there had been the usual maintenance of snaking out drains, and someone seems to have made a decision to save money by not doing that, which caused this disastrous result that was so bad that just opening the front door, not standing on the outside, was noxious. So we responded on this one because of University Settlement. I think if we could have a list, and this might be a budget issue also, or maybe we can help make it a budget issue, that would be great.
Okay.
The other spaces, like at Baruch, for example, that they're actually Head Start and daycare facilities. And when those places get flooded, it really comes up a couple of feet and they have to close down. Parents can't, they have nowhere to put their kids. The cleaning process is crazy. And I'll tell you how long it's been going on, that my daughter is 28 years old this May, and she used to go there. And when she was 3, I organized to get this situation resolved and got the schedule upgraded, but it always happens. So that's how severe it is, just to give folks a sense, like daycare facilities are being impacted by this.
Okay, so I think I'm glad you brought that up, and I think it's really important.
Thank you.
To cut this all down.
Thank you. Go ahead, Carlin.
Quick question, Susan. Are we back to in-person meetings next month?
So the emergency order has been extended, but Tariq, I think you were going to announce for next month.
Yeah, Carlin, I will address the question after the district manager's report, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead, Larissa.
Hi, thank you. Susan, it's great news to hear about the potential for the shelter. I think you said 109 beds for single women. I don't know if it's too early to start advocating for that to be a supportive housing project, something that we've been looking forward to having come to the Lower East Side. That seems like an opportune spot.
Thank you, Larissa. Go ahead, Laura.
Gracias. Thank you for updating us on what's going on at Campos. I do want to put out there again that if there is any other further NYCHA meetings and walkthroughs, I would like to be a part of those walkthroughs. Susan, do we know when that maintenance is going to start, being that you said it's 10 weeks now with the summer program starting for the CBO? And are those kids already relocated? Is there any other way that we need to support them?
They were relocated, and then that space ended. I have not heard from University Settlement. They've been very on top of it and then letting us know what they're doing. So I'm looking at a schedule right now, and it said on this was from last week, 419 University Settlement in NYCHA was confirming the punch list of items. And they will begin work first week of May. That is when the vendors can begin abatement, followed by replacement of gym floor. The estimated time frame for that work is 10 weeks. And universities, well, that's basically the work. And they are meeting with University Settlement to coordinate everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I think that's it, Susan.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Great. So yes, we spoke at exec. So I'm just referring to Carlin's question. So the executive order is finished, like I think right before our exec meeting in May. So we did decide to go hybrid for the full board meeting. So we will be at PS 20 in May. Okay, in person. We're hoping to have new members in by that point, so that the exec fully decided of, you know, I know when I joined in a virtual setting, right? And so in a kind of movement of culture and trying to build community amongst us, we felt it was important to start to try to figure out how do we get back to some in-person gathering, okay? So we can connect. So, but it will be hybrid. For some of those who may have some concerns, okay? The other piece that I did before I go into the committee reports and others, exec members and committee chairs will be doing a training in May, really focused on how we can better facilitate meetings moving forward, right? Especially in a hybrid format, in person, and how we all can kind of create a more codified culture of meetings in CB3 as a leadership. So I will update more come after the training, what has come from that, okay? So I will keep you all updated on those things, all right? Next, we are going to, I am taking my head is pounding, so I'm a little slow right now. So just bear with me, please. But I'm going to move to, before we go into committee reports, Val, can you, I'm giving you the floor to share on your task force update.
Okay. Hi, I am the representative for the World Trade Center Health Advisory Group. And I just wanted to encourage people to think about the program. Some of the symptoms, 9/11 related symptoms, coughing, wheezing, GERD, anxiety, shortness of breath, sinus congestion, stomach problems. And so if you want to learn more, the call 888-982-4748 to find out if you qualify for treatment. There very often is at no out-of-pocket costs at the World Trade Center. And also as of February 28th is what I'm looking at. We had Representative Nadler, Gillibrand, and several others put forth a bill, the 9/11 Responder and Survivor Health Funding Correction Act. So anyway, if you're thinking about it, if you have some illnesses, some symptoms, think about if you live below Houston Street or was below Houston Street at 9/11, think about the program there. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Val. All right, we're going to move on to the committee reports. Exec, there are no votes necessary. So we'll shift over to SLA. Arnett.
Okay, I'm using my phone and for some reason it's acting a little strange. But good evening, everyone. I served as acting chair the last SLA meeting. It was an extendedly long meeting. We did adjourn at around 12 a.m. I would like to thank all of the SLA committee for staying. I believe we only lost Jamie, who was there. We had 6 in attendance. So at 12, we still had 5. So that was amazing. I also like to thank the community for staying on as long as they did, and willing to share their thoughts. I also like to thank those that share their thoughts today that weren't able to stay on for the meeting. Everyone is counted, everyone is valued. And so I do appreciate everyone that spoke for and or against certain applications. We all got the voting sheet. Do I go over each application, or I know that everyone probably has more questions about Sunday to Sunday than any other of the applications. Should I go through all of them, or should I just concentrate on the one that I think that was prevalent during this meeting?
I would concentrate on the one that you think is most prevalent, but we'll also, usually people raise their hand if they have questions on certain items.
Okay.
But I would go to the Sunday to Sunday one.
Okay. Sunday to Sunday was the most contentious, or not contentious, the most, I guess, debated application that we had. We had another applicant that withdrew during the meeting, and, but this one was the most debated. I've heard the voices today in opposition as well as for it. I would like to let the record show that the actual determination was based on the applicant's location and not the type of business he was running. For all intent and purposes, it seems like this business is a great business and everyone is happy with it. However, due to oversaturation of the location, the application was denied. And for the most part, we were able to listen to as many people as possible that remained on the call, and as well as we allowed the applicant to answer some of the questions that we had, and as well as advocate for his business. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, the fact still remained that the applicant was applying for a full license in an oversaturated area. And I think that's about it. Does anyone have any questions about any particular application?
Yes, so I see, all right, here we go. I see Deborah, then Sarah, and then Lee.
Hi, thanks so much for the work that you're doing. I have a question about SLA 5 and 7. I know that in one of the, I can't remember which one it is, I know there was a big conversation about unlicensed locations. And aren't both 5 and 7 approvals with stipulations in previously unlicensed locations? Can you talk a little bit about that? Thank
Okay.
you.
No problem. I just closed out my thing by accident, so I lost it. Let's see. 5 was
5 is 48 Bowery.
Yeah, Taraji, it's the last whereas. It says, I think it's called Taraji, New York, 48 Bowery, whereas the location is currently an unlicensed restaurant. And then for 7, Attaboy is looking to move into what is currently a gallery, which is an unlicensed location on Eldridge Street.
Okay, thank you. Attaboy was met with, it was a majority vote. I actually voted against it. The reason why the persuading, I guess from the conversation, from the debate, it was more so it's more of an extension of a current place rather than a new liquor license. The way the building is structured, it is the lot is separated, but it really can be, it's really what they're asking more so is an extension to the current place. There's a structural component that's separating the spaces, but it's just as if it was the same location. So they're doubling in size, but on the premise that this is basically an extension and not a new license, because it's only new because of a small structural component of it. And the
Can I
board.
ask a follow-up question?
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Yep, follow-up question. I actually know that location because it's around the corner from me, and I know that there was a previous tenant who came before the board to try to get a liquor license. And so if the explanation is that Attaboy was approved because it's sort of considered an extension, are these physically connected structures, or will people who can't get into their current little speakeasy who want to go to the next place have to go out? And I mean, I guess, like, how are they physically tied together as one location, or are they not tied together as one location?
Technically, it is not tied as the same location. However, their argument is that it can be considered the same location and an extension of the current location. The opening and closing, like how to get in and get out, I believe it would be it is a separate entrance and exit. However, it can be adjoined. I forgot how I forgot how he actually explained the structural content of it, but what they marketed as was more of a extension. And I can't say from that discussion off memory and any of the notes that we went into depth about actual entrance and or exit of that establishment.
Well, the first whereas says that it's a separate, unconnected business and requires a new, like, I'm just reading that as physically separate. So it would essentially be a second business.
Location, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And then the other one is also a new location? Item number 5?
The Taraji Patient Arnett.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, Sarah, go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much, Chair Scott, for your leadership and for the update. I wanted to speak about item number 12, which is Sunday to Sunday, the one that we heard folks in opposition and in support of the beginning of the session. I would like to make a motion to send this application back to the committee. What happened with this particular application did not follow our normal procedure as a committee. The applicant suggested that they wanted to withdraw and to come back in another month, which is a very typical thing that happens with many of our applicants. And we were not given the opportunity to allow the applicant to withdraw, even though it was their desire to withdraw. Instead, we were asked to vote, which is, again, not our typical process.
Second.
Who said the second? I'm sorry.
I did, Amanda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm also in support of that.
Okay. David, do we just, for this, do a roll call on sending this back to committee or not? Or is there a debate, conversation?
Debate on the motion. Yes, debate on a motion to amend.
Okay, debate on the motion to amend.
Yes.
I see. I know Lee's hand was up and Robin's hand, but I think that was on a previous thing. So David, is your hand up for this? Yep. Okay. Lee, is your hand up on this motion or just the previous question?
A previous question.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you on that. Robin, is your hand up for this motion or previous question?
Previous. Should I take it down?
If Lee and Robin, I put your name, I wrote your name down so I can come back to you on this. Okay. Thank you. If you can take your hand down, thanks. All right, go ahead, David.
So this map here, is the location we're talking about. So the location is at the corner. It is never been licensed before. This is a 200-foot radius. It's smaller than the 500-foot rule radius, but you can see that there are a lot of establishments on the block, very close to it. Essentially, creating a license here would make wall-to-wall full liquor establishments on that block. And that is the reason why the committee voted. Yes, the applicant did say he'd like to withdraw and come back, but there was clear that there wasn't going to be a substantive change, which is how we would typically allow that to happen, or even sometimes we might request it. We really shouldn't let someone withdraw and come back with the same application on the chance that they'll get a different result the next time if we know that we don't want to add another full liquor license in a very saturated area, which is the only reason why we voted not to do it. And this was discussed explicitly. We went for a good 45 minutes on this item. So I would ask people to vote against this amendment unless for some reason you think that we should add a new liquor license where there has never been a license before on an intersection where there are a lot of other liquor licenses. This is exactly the scenario where we should be trying to desaturate it. And one of the best things we can do to desaturate an area is not create a new license. I fully believe that this would be a responsible operator, but then we'll have a license there for the next operator and the next one, because once a license is established and it's continuously licensed, the SLA is pretty much obligated to let the next applicant through. So if that's clear, I don't believe that we should waste an applicant's time by telling them you're likely to get a different result if you were to come back with something different. All he's going to try to do, from my understanding, which I think is accurate because we went back and forth quite a while about it, is to try to show more public support. I think we saw the beginning of that here tonight, but it's not a popularity contest. It is a very oversaturated area, and it is never before licensed. So please, let's keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Michelle.
Thanks, Tariq. So I just want to say that I'm just going to talk on the process here, not the merits of the application, because it is very common for an applicant to ask. My fan's going on. It is very common for an applicant to ask to withdraw and come back. That is totally standard operations. And I think it sets a very bad precedent telling applicants that they can no longer do that. I know that there was a question in the chat about whether we can if someone gets denied, can they come back? There is a board policy that is not allowed unless there's a substantive change to their application. And Susan can correct me if I'm wrong, I do not believe that getting more community support, I think it really refers to the actual merits of the operation that they're requesting. So like you come and apply for an Italian restaurant at site A, you get denied, you come back for like a coffee shop at site A, that would be a substantive difference in the application. We should not be in the habit of telling applicants that they can't withdraw. That just feels like very, very bad precedent. I also just want to reference that we should also not be referring to the possibility of future applications once a spot is licensed. That is something that the SLA will use against us, because the applicant can then say, well, they denied us based on this, this completely hypothetical thing that has nothing to do with this application. I suspect that the SLA will approve this upgrade only because the hours are so early and because the applicant has no issues. But again, that's irrelevant to this part of the conversation. It's really about the process. And I really don't think that the applicant was treated fairly in this situation. People refer, it was only a 3-2 vote also. So it's not like there was some, landslide situation here, and it was almost midnight. So I support this amendment to send it back to committee, just to be fair to the applicant. He wanted to come back, so it's not like we're wasting his time. He wanted to come back. So thank you.
Okay. We had someone who didn't support. So I'm guessing, Jamie, you're in support of sending it back. Kay, are you not in support of sending it back so we can hear from you on this?
Yes, I am not in support of sending it back to the committee.
Do you want to say anything on it?
Yeah. I just want to say that we, our experience very near here, Sarah Roosevelt Park area, is that we have lost a number of small businesses run by women of color because landlords are raising rents, and landlords do find it easier to have more money from liquor establishments. And so for that reason, I think that we have to be very judicious about that. I think this sounds like this site is well liked, and I assume would continue to be so. And also for the primary reason that this really is an oversaturated area. And what that always means is that the neighborhood winds up being the policing of the entire block. And I think we do have an obligation and maybe an apology made to the public for licensing, if it was in any time in the recent future, for licensing so many places. But it doesn't mean that we license more. So I think for the people who actually live here, there may be some who enjoy it. That's great at this site, but for a lot of folks who live here, families, it's hard to live with that kind of saturation. Thanks.
Thanks, Kay. Talking when I'm muted. I'm going to come to you, Jamie, now.
Thank you, Tariq. My argument for sending this back is predominantly procedural. I'm not, as I was not able to sit in on this specific item agenda. Excuse me. I have been in the past. I personally have been able to and required to withdraw applications based on incorrect or bad advice, legal advice from people from my lawyers. If I was not able to do that, I would not have been able to present myself and my licenses accurately and fairly. This to me is not a question of saturation or new liquor licenses, but rather the rights of applicants. And if an applicant wishes to withdraw because of what I understand to be perhaps not the best representation, and to reapply with a more appropriate approach, that should be within their rights. I understand that we have a policy of not hearing applications that they've been outright denied already. So an applicant that wants to withdraw, reevaluate, and reapply, especially one who seems to have quite as much community support as this one, should be able to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Go ahead, Amanda.
Sure, thanks. I think I want to speak on the process as well, and focus on the point that ultimately it's not up to us to decide on behalf of the applicant. And I think that's what I was alluding to in the meeting when I phrased the question and brought it up as a question, when I really should have made a more firm stance and been more confident in my suspicions, and that we shouldn't have been able to speak on behalf of the applicant. The applicant mentioned that they received incorrect information, that they could stop collecting petitions at a certain point. And it seemed like he responded genuinely that it was new information and that he would be seen as more favorable if he showed more community and public support, which he definitely did today. And I think that ultimately it should have been up to the applicant to decide whether or not to withdraw, and wasn't really a position for us to dissuade him otherwise. And so that's why I would recommend supporting the decision to move this back to committee so we can hear it fully with the applicant and us prepared to speak more on behalf of this.
Got it. Before I come to you, Susan, give me one. Robin, is your hand up from previous or responding to this?
I'm still waiting previous.
Okay, you can put your hand on. I'm gonna come to you once we get through this.
Okay,
moment.
sure.
Thank you. I have your name written, so I'll come to you.
Okay, okay.
Okay, go ahead, Susan.
Yeah, I'm not speaking for or against. I just want to, since I've been going to these meetings for almost 19 years, just talk about precedent and procedure. Applicants have always been allowed or advised to withdraw and come back if it would make a difference in the application. For instance, a beer wine instead of a full liquor, or something substantial. In this case, the applicant, I think, unfortunately thinks that because he didn't have the support, that was the reason. I think the committee was, and there have been discussions, I'm talking about, not recently, that it's actually unfair to have an applicant come back if the committee knows that they're going to just deny again. So what I want to say, it's not a precedent to not allow someone to not withdraw if the committee thinks that the reason will stay the same. That's the issue. I don't want to think that we have previously said it would be unfair not to.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Richard, I'm gonna come to you. I think you're on.
Sorry.
There
I've
you go.
been listening to the discussion, and after listening to the pain that the residents of that neighborhood have endured for many years now, folks are throwing around the rights of the applicant. Well, I come down on the side of the rights of the residents. And in this particular case, I do not support sending this application back to the committee, because I think they had a fair hearing. From the sound of it, I think they had a fair hearing. They knew the rules going in, and trying to take extra advantage by going back to the committee when nothing substantive is going to come out of it is sort of a waste of our time. And we have a lot of things on our agenda. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I see David and Jamie. I know you both spoke. Is there anything else you need to add? Yep. Okay, so David, go ahead, and then Jamie, and then, ooh, Sarah, you caught right in it. And Sarah, and that's ending our debate here on this. Go ahead, David.
Right, to be pretty brief. If you vote no, our denial will stand. If you vote yes, you maximize the chance of there being a license here. We always let applicants withdraw before meetings, but once we've taken 45 minutes, it's really up to the committee to decide what motion they want to send to the board. And there is precedent for doing exactly that, saying, no, actually, we're going to go forward tonight with this. This applicant also has one of the most well-known nightlife lawyers that there are. So although I think it was kind of a throwaway comment that he didn't realize that he needed more than a page of petitions, which he didn't. So I don't think that that's an argument for doing this. I'm just asking you again, please vote no about sending this back to committee. Thanks.
Jamie?
Sorry, I've been a little disrailed. I understand the need to hear the neighborhood. There have been plenty of people who have spoken both against and for. I also believe the applicant is a member of the neighborhood. I believe they live in Seward Park, which would constitute the neighborhood. If they don't live specifically there, I do believe they live in the neighborhood. See some people shaking their heads. I was unfortunately not able to stay the entire time. I do work in nightlife. I do work at night, and the meeting took significantly longer than I was anticipating. And had I and other members of the board been able to vote, it might have been a different outcome. Regardless, I still think the precedent remains that we should allow applicants to withdraw if there have not been if there has not already been a vote. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I just wanted to confirm that the applicant is a part of the community, does live in the community, has been working at this location previous to operating his own business there, managed another business there for the last 7 years, has a vested interest in making this community a livable space. And of all the people that come to us and ask for licenses, like, he is certainly, for me, in my perception, a conscientious business owner. And so just, I've been focusing on process because I think that's important, but I do also just kind of want to raise the elements of the application that were not raised in the process discussion. And from my vantage point, I hear Richard's comment about what's a waste of our time or not a waste of our time. For me, it's not a waste of time to hear the applicant once they've had a chance to address the specific feedback that myself and other committee members provided to him on his application and why it wasn't strong enough.
Thank you. Hey, you will be our last comment on this, and then we're going to move to a vote.
I am so sorry, Tariq. I just do want to say Seward Park is not near this. This is a very different community, especially class-wise. And I want to remind everyone that some people, we complain about staying up late. Some people don't have Zoom. A lot of people in these neighborhoods have no chance to show up at these meetings. And I do think it behooves the community board to think about them. I think that this committee has been fair. That's it. Thanks. Okay, Tariq.
Thank you. Okay, Robin, I see your hand. Larissa, we're going to go to a vote on if we are either sending this item Sunday to Sunday back to committee, or if you are against sending it back to committee. So yes to send it back, no to move forward. And then Robin, I'll come to you for your previous question, Emily, okay?
Thank you. I think Leah might have been before me, but thank you.
Yeah, I'll come to you both after the vote is done, okay? Go ahead, Larissa, roll call.
Thank you, Tariq. David Adams. David Adams. I'm sorry.
I think I'll vote to send it back, even though I kind of feel, well, yeah, send it back.
Thank you, David. Yaron Altman.
No.
Sarah Rose Bachu.
Sarah, say your vote again. Sorry, I think it just didn't get.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Lee Berman.
No.
Ana Calderon is absent. Carlin Chan.
Are we voting to send this back or voting to?
Yes.
If you vote yes to vote it back to, you send it back to committee. If you vote no, that's no to sending it back to committee.
No.
Thank you. David Crane.
No.
Thank you. Eric Diaz. Eric?
He is unmuted. I just don't hear him.
Nope, I do not hear him.
Let's come back to him. Go ahead.
Sure, I'll come back. Tariq Darrell.
Abstain.
Abstain, okay. Abstain. Okay, Alistair Economacus.
Yes, for me.
Thank you. Jamie Felber.
Yes.
Larry Finn.
Yes.
Shirley Fennessy is absent. Catherine Freed.
No.
Ryan Gilliam is absent. Deborah Glass. Deborah?
No.
Thank you. Okay, Jake Gold is absent. We have Andrea Gordillo.
Yes.
Kenny L. Hernandez?
Abstain.
Abstain. Thank you. Herman Hewitt? Herman?
No.
No, thank you, Herman. Trevor Holland?
No.
Okay, thank you. Valentina Jones? Valentina, Valentina, if you vote yes, you're sending 88 Orchard back to committee. If you vote no, that's not to send it back to committee.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. Okay, Michelle Cooper Smith?
Yes.
May Lee?
No.
Wendy Lee?
No.
And Amanda Liu?
Yes.
Laura Lugo?
Yes.
Damaris Reyes?
Sorry, having trouble.
That's
Yes.
okay. Yes, thank you, Damaris. Richard Ropiak?
No.
Thomas Rosa?
No.
Robin Chattel?
No.
Heidi Schmidt?
No.
Arnett Scott?
No.
Larissa Shainberg? No. Sandra Struthers absent. We have Daniel Tano?
No.
Josephine Velez?
No.
Rodney Washington?
No.
Joshua Waterman?
Yes.
Kathleen Webster?
No.
Jackie Wong is absent. July Yang, our last vote.
No.
Thank you. Okay, you have
Can you come back to
21
that?
no. Yes, I have the totals. 21 no,
Larissa?
12 yes.
Larissa, can you call on Eric?
Oh, yes, I apologize. Thank you for reminding me. Eric Diaz. Eric, if you're not able to speak, it'll come off mute. You can put your vote in the chat.
Okay. All right, go ahead, give me, you can, what's the count?
Sure, the total is 12 yes, 21 no, 2 abstain.
Okay.
Motion is no.
Is no, thank you. All right, Lee, coming to you for your previous question before the vote.
Great, thank you. So Arnett, for the items, have you received any stipulations, and if so, for which ones? And then I have a follow-up.
Okay, I'm sorry. If I'm not mistaken, we have steps for, I think everyone, go through this thing. Yes, we have stipulations for everyone.
You have steps for everybody, okay.
Yeah.
It's important to know that if we could going forward, just so that we know in advance how to vote. Then that actually leads to an important issue. It looks like there's what I assume is a typo in step number 4 in items 5, 6, 7, and 13. Item number 4 says they agree they will not install soundproofing. I don't believe that's what you guys meant.
For which one?
For, it's step number 4 in item 5, SLA 5,
Okay.
SLA 6, SLA 7, and SLA 13. I think you guys probably meant will install soundproofing if required, or just will install soundproofing. So I wonder if this. Go ahead.
I could help on that one. Those are ones where they said they already had soundproofing.
Correct. Like 5, that was the arcade, yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
That answers, Lee?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Robin, coming to you now for your previous question.
Yes, well, it's not a question, it's a concern about SLA 5 and 7. And you know, first of all, I just want to backtrack and say all of these streets were livable before these bars moved in. People have been living on these streets for hundreds of years. I would like to put a motion in that 5 and 7 go back to SLA, because the obvious, you know, line mentioned that both locations are unlicensed, and the term extension is, you know, I would like to ask the SLA to rethink their vote on this, because an extension would be adding to the space of a previous space, but we're not talking about going to a new location, whether it's next door or not, separated by a brick wall of the building. That's now adding a liquor license to a location that has never had one. And that's twice. And everything I've ever heard about the SLA is that we don't do that. And I think it sets up a bad precedent and opens a can of worms, that anyone can have the argument. It's unfortunate that, you know, probably they had a great nightlife lawyer also who told them to say extension, but we're not, you know, in the court of law to be able to, you know, knock that word down. So I'm again asking for items number 5 and SLA and 7 to go back to committee for rethinking on the vote.
I second.
Before, okay, I do hear Lee's second. I will say I do believe that these 2 items were unanimous votes. So I don't know what will change if those 2 do go back to the committee. It will just increase more votes.
Well, let's talk about policies, and that's what we were just arguing about before on policies and procedures. You know, I thought the policy of our community board was not to issue licenses to locations that never had a license before. That is one of the reasons why item number 3 withdrew their application for a location that never had a liquor license. So now we're saying, oh, it's okay to suddenly give a location without a liquor license. So if we're going to, you know, give Taraj, you know, an application for the address next door, or the same with number 7, the address next door, then maybe next year they're going to want the address next door to the next door. And before we know it, we're going to have 5 new liquor licenses in 5 different buildings all along Eldridge Street. Like, I thought that's not what we do as a community board, and I thought that was one of our very clear policies. So I'm really concerned that we're suddenly saying, oh no, it's okay, based on an argument that, oh, it's an extension.
Okay.
Which, when I look up the word extension, that's not the definition that I see. But really, it's more about our, you know, following the policies that we have here at the community board.
Yep, I hear you. Okay, let me, Trevor, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Point of
but
order, did you recognize the motion? I'm sorry, which are we debating?
I'm recognizing the motion. Okay.
So I was going to call a question before I saw the hands raised after me, because I think that involves a deeper vote. But I'd like to call a question. We can vote on whether this goes back to committee or not right now.
You're calling a question, okay? So we are David, what do we do when someone calls to question?
It requires a second, and then you should, without debate, ask the board if they're done debating, to cut off debate.
Got it. Is there a second to the call to question?
This is Larissa. I second the call, the question.
For the board, are we done debating the motion to send this back to committee? Send those two items back to the committee?
Are you asking for hands to raise to say?
Yes.
We are done.
Raise your hands. If you can put, Arnett, if you put your hand down, and Trevor, you can put your hands down right now. And then and Kenyelle, put your hand, Kay, put your hand down, please. I'm gonna call it now, and then we'll count from there. Okay, thank you. All right, if you're in favor of ending debate on this, please put your hands up.
Unbelievable.
I count 25 participants raised hand. Okay, can you put your hands down? You're on. You can put your hand down, Heidi, Michelle.
Tariq.
Robin, I'm about to call it now, but if you could put your hand down, and I'm putting mine.
No,
on.
I have to, I'm just shocked that I was just completely shut down now.
Oh,
I
no,
have to tell you.
Hold.
I'm telling you how I feel.
You
Okay,
know,
we just
I
spent
know.
45 minutes discussing
know.
one bar, and here we are giving liquor licenses to locations that don't have them.
Robin,
Well,
Robert's
that's what this
rules.
board's
David,
about.
I got it, David, I got it. Robert's rules, please. Okay.
Yeah, Robert's rules.
yourself.
I call them Robin's rules.
I hear you. You call it whatever, okay? Let's respect the process, okay? All right. Put your hands up if you would like to continue debate. Okay, put your show. Hold on, Daniel.
I'm changing my vote.
Okay, Sarah, you want to continue? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Damaris wants to continue. Okay. And all right, put your hands down. We are not continuing debate on this. Okay. Oh, all right. Arnett, is your SLA report complete? Go ahead, Trevor.
Well, you should
I
take a vote.
believe there's a vote on the floor because it was seconded to whether or not to send this back to committee. So we need to vote on that first.
Do a full roll call vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, Larissa, can we do a full roll call? Either to yes, if you're sending number 5 and 7 back to committee, no, if you do not want to send 5 and 7 back to committee.
Okay, thank you. David Adams,
No.
Yaron Altman,
No.
Sarah Rose Bachu,
No.
Lee Berman,
Yes.
Ana Calderon is absent, Carlin Chan,
Yes.
David Crane,
No.
Oh, come on, David.
Eric Diaz, did we get him back? Eric? All right, I'll come back just in case. Tariq Darrell,
No.
Alistair Konomakis,
No.
Jamie Felber,
No.
Larry Fenn,
No.
Shirley Fennessy, she's absent, Kathleen Freed.
Catherine.
Freed, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, Ryan Gilliam, Deborah Glass,
No.
Andrea Gordillo,
No.
Keniel Hernandez,
No.
Herman Hewitt,
No.
Trevor Holland,
No.
Valentina Jones. Valentina,
Abstain.
thank you. Okay, Michelle Cooper Smith,
No.
Maylee,
No.
Wendy Lee,
No.
Amanda Liu,
No.
David Louis, sorry, he's absent. Laura Lugo,
No.
Damaris Reyes,
I'm sorry, y'all. I had stepped away for a second, so I just need clarity on the motion.
Sure, so we're voting, if you vote yes, you're voting to send SLA items 5 and 7 back to committee. If you vote no, you're voting against sending them back to committee.
Yes.
Richard Ropiak,
No.
Thomas Rosa,
No.
Robin Chattel,
Yes.
thank you. Heidi Schmidt,
No.
Arnett Scott,
No.
Larissa Shaneberg, yes. Daniel Tano,
No.
Josephine Velez,
No.
Rodney Washington,
No.
Joshua Waterman,
No.
Kathleen Webster,
No.
and July Yang.
Yes.
Okay, totals for the vote, 7 yes, 27 no, 1 abstain.
Thank you. These will not go back to committee. Thank you. Arnett, does that conclude your report? Oh, Amanda, yes.
Thank you. I just want to provide some quick context too for folks, because I don't want it to seem like that was just a blanket no. It might seem confusing for folks who don't have the context. So I just want to provide the context, which is that for the guideline, Robin, that you are referencing, the additional wording to that is that it's in the saturated areas. And David, I forget specifically what the number is. There's a threshold that we usually use as a baseline. And so maybe you can speak to that later. But there are also decisions that we make in the committee based on what we expect SLA to approve or not approve. And that's why we include stipulations. And so I just want to provide context to that, so and use this as a learning moment so that going forward, we can trust the decisions of the committees and everyone is welcome to join so that you get more context and understanding. And it's not just referencing hearing someone say that, oh, we don't license in unlicensed spaces. It's more to it than that. So just want to recommend that to everyone.
Thank you, Amanda. David and Sarah, and then we're going to move forward.
Amanda's right. I really don't have much to add, but just to like cut to it. In one of them, I was pretty sure the SLA was going to approve it. It is saturated, yes, but it's better to have STIPs in those situations, in my opinion, to protect the community. And the other one, it had 4 licenses in 500-foot radius. So that's actually not so bad.
Thank you, David. Go ahead, Sarah.
I just wanted to make my call again for the folks who don't attend the SLA meetings to come. and join us for many, many hours in democracy. It's super, super important, especially when you have something to say in full board, that you participate in the committee meeting, and that if you have a perspective on a business, that you come, just as members of the public come, just as us as committee members come. And I would really welcome our colleagues on the full board to join us. I did see a few friendly faces in our last meeting. I know Michelle was there for much of the meeting, despite no longer being on our chair, or on our committee. I believe Sandra came. Laura mentioned to me that she came. If I'm not calling your name, appreciate if you came, but please join us. It's really, really important so that you can understand what is going on with each application, and that you get the benefit of hearing from the community members that come that night to speak in support or in opposition, that you get the benefit of hearing from the applicant directly, that you get the benefit of reviewing the stipulations and resolutions with the rest of us in the committee, especially if you don't have time to read all the minutes and everything before these full board meetings. Participating in the meeting is a really great way to actually get the full rounded application that's coming before us, rather than voting with your feet and not having reviewed everything. And so again, I think it's really, really important. If this is something you're passionate about, I know a number of you speak in full board for every single full board meeting we have about SLA items. And I invite you to come and join us, because you clearly have an interest and a passion for it, and we need to hear that input. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Go ahead, Robin, Arnett, and Carlin, and then I'd like to move to the next committee report. Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, this came up last time at our meeting last week, where these things come to the full board, that the full board is the final decider on issues. And that is why we debate things here. I could say the same thing about everybody here coming to the Parks Committee or the Housing Committee or all the other committees we have. You know, the SLA is not its own animal. Maybe if it should be, then we should all just be on the SLA committee and only focus on liquor licenses. But there's other business as well. So I wanted to bring that up, because I don't, you know, obviously it's a contentious subject. We're inundated with liquor licenses in this neighborhood, and when there's a vote to give a liquor license, no matter what, I'm sure there was plenty of debate. I'm not questioning your debating. I'm just noticing it as a committee member of CB3, that liquor licenses are being now given out to establishments I never had them, whether they're connected to the establishment that did or not. And that, I think, it's a big opening, a big can of worms for us to, you know, for anyone to come before us and say, well, I'm just gonna, you know, might do an extension of my restaurant. Oh yeah, well, it's 3, you know, so that's where I think we get into trouble. That's all. That's it.
Thank you. Go ahead, Arnett.
Hi, a couple of things. One, I haven't attended really any SLA meetings. I view them afterwards, but I haven't attended them. This was my first time chairing, and also like being on the board through the whole time. And what I would like to offer to those that are on the full board, because I completely understand being inundated with community items that you do personally on your own. I don't think anyone here is not a part of the community. So I'm willing, like, if you can reach out to me and I can go over what was said, what wasn't said, and so that when we do come to full board, you have a more well-rounded argument to stand on, and that we don't have to, not that we don't have to debate, but you can be clear as to what happened and what your stance is and have your voices heard, because I totally agree that everyone's voice should be heard. And I completely understand where everyone doesn't have the time to make it to every board meeting or committee meeting that they're passionate about. So Robin, this is a direct, basically a comment to you. I agree. I wish that you were available there, because I was one of those that didn't want some of this to happen, and I learned during the course of the discussion, and that swayed my vote. But at any time, if any member, while I'm chair, would like to just reach out, and even before the meeting, when they just get the vote card, just to say like, hey, why this happened, why that happened, I'm free, or I'll make myself available so we can discuss it, so there's more transparency, not only for the public, but for our board members as well, so that we can feel all vested and have a strong say on what happened in SLA, because it's a very contentious committee and everyone has an opinion, and I would like to educate anyone about any meeting that I'm chairing. So you're welcome to reach me, Robin, or anyone.
Thank you, Arnett. Carlin, go ahead.
Yeah, I would agree with Sarah and the rest on the committee there. Yeah, I mean, you have a position against a particular agenda item, you should attend the meeting, or at least when I can't make the meeting, or I may have doubts of making the meeting, I just send in my comments via email. I mean, we can't turn this full board meeting. Like last month, we were debating three SLA agenda items most of the night, and it's happening again tonight. So we can't turn this full board into an SLA committee extended SLA committee meeting.
Totally. Thank you, Carlin. Val?
I actually had a question for you, Tariq, but the one thing I would say is that the two things I heard that I thought was substantial, one was usually people get to go back. And so that was like, oh, okay, it seems fair to let these people go back like anybody else. Because if I was them, if I had to go to SLA, I'd say you did me wrong. And then the other was the fact that it's an oversaturated area and that probably if they come back, that it wouldn't make a difference. So both sides sound sensible. And that was what I thought about. But anyway, what I wanted to ask Tariq, when it comes to next month and it's hybrid, there was a time, is there a certain percentage or does you just have to have a quorum at the meeting?
Correct.
Oh, okay. So I guess what I'm really asking that for is if it's hybrid, are you actually encouraging as many people as possible to come out so that you have a quorum at the meeting? And then if we are on this Zoom thing, like right now, while I'm talking, I don't have my video on. Is that going to be fine for the meeting? Because I remember hearing something like that.
You will have to have your video on.
The whole time?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
No problem. Go ahead, Sarah, and then I will address this, and then we're going to move to the next committee report, okay? Good.
I want to go back again, because, as somebody who's newer to the committee, maybe doesn't have institutional history, I've certainly asked for training. I think our fellow board members should also get the opportunity to train. But I think there's a misperception, so I just wanted to address it. David or Susan, I think, or Michelle, folks who are also experts, please feel free to add to this if the chair will recognize you. But when we are making these decisions, we're advisory. The folks who are ultimately making the decision about the liquor license is the state liquor authority. And so, as has been mentioned by my colleagues from the committee, we really have to think about how they will view each applicant. And when we think there's a strong chance that they will approve an applicant, then it is in our best interest as a committee to craft stipulations that we want to see on that business while that item is in committee and hopefully, advance to the full board for it to be approved by the full board. If we just outright deny everything, as some of the committee members and full board members maybe want us to do, then we may lose out in the end, because we may end up with licenses that do not have stipulations on them, because an applicant can move forward without those stipulations and try to go to SLA. And if they have a strong enough case, which many, often do, and some that we've even denied outright without stipulations have received an SLA license, and they have gotten things that we would not have wanted them to get, and that we purposely put in our stipulations that they should have more restrictions. They have gone and gotten licenses. So I do really think and really do want to encourage the folks on the full board to really understand what the purpose of our committee is, what we're considering, the criteria that we have, and the risk of us outright denying without any stipulations, and the risk that poses, for businesses ultimately to go directly to SLA and have a license without stipulations. Again, that has happened at least 2 times that I can think of in my time in the last year on this committee. So I just really encourage you all to really understand the purpose of this committee, how it functions, and how we make our decisions. And you can do that best by coming to our meeting. And of course, I do welcome if Susan and others, can help us coordinate a training and to share the institutional knowledge. It's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I think, when I hear these conversations, and I've been hearing this over the past 2 months already, right? I think there's the 3 Ps that come up for me: policies, procedures, process, right? And especially as it relates to this committee. I'm committed over the next few weeks, especially with our new first vice chair, second vice chair, and executive officers, to work with the district manager, and also the SLA committee to really clarify the policies, procedures, and process around this committee and how it's going to move forward, right? And also the members of this committee getting a training, and also for our full board to get a training around this, because it is a contentious conversation at large from the public, and also committee and direction of how we view the committee and how we want our culture to look like on this community board. So know that I'm committed to figuring that out. Now that we have more of some leadership roles and there's some shared leadership now that we can move forward, I'm collaborating with Acting Chair Arnett to kind of figure this out over the next month and figure out the direction for this committee, right? And how it collaborates with the full board at large. Okay. Carlin, I'm going to move to the next committee reports, okay?
I want to say something really brief.
It's long night. So I'd like for us to move forward, okay? Land use, Damaris, Jake could not attend. Are you able to give a report from land use?
We didn't have any, the meeting was canceled.
Okay,
So
great.
land use was canceled.
All right, thank you, Damaris.
No report. Thank you.
And then transportation, David?
Yeah, the substantive motions were the Golden Way, Golden, yes, Francis Golden Way. And so a co-naming, and the other one is the intercity bus application. Any questions, comments, etc.? I think there is. Okay, Catherine?
Yeah, it's less a question about what the committee has approved, but just a question or comment that I think Tommy Loeb mentioned before, some of the problems that were coming up at Reese houses with the coal tar that they found that exists under the development, and the fact that it's releasing volatile organic chemicals and semi-volatile organic chemicals into the air. And I don't want to go into all the problems with that, but they cause everything from neurological damage to respiratory damage to premature births and birth defects, among others. So, but here's my point, because this is not just transportation, it's also environment. And I would like to see this board have some hearings on the environment, not just under Reese houses, but there has been a problem up and down the waterfront on the east side. There's been a problem in the Seaport, which is Board 1, but there's been a number of problems in Two Bridges and Land's End, and there's very likely similar problems to what they have at Reese houses beneath most of the developments up against the FDR Drive. And I would like to see the board think about either having a subcommittee or at least a very serious hearing on this issue. And since this is the environmental committee, this is the one I would request that you do it, because I think, because this entire area was industrialized, it was used for shipping, it was used for a lot of refueling, things like that. So the same problem that Reese houses is having, probably a number of the developments will be having. And I think it's something this board should pay attention to and seriously think about calling the city and some other experts in to see what, and ask for tests to see if there really is an ongoing environmental problem. That's it.
Thank you. Michelle, go ahead.
Thanks, Tariq. I wanted to make an amendment to transportation item 8 about the bus. Larissa, I sent you the language and I can put it in the chat. It's just an additional whereas to record the fact that the applicant for this bus knew that he was illegally operating on East Broadway already, and then it seemed that he had stopped doing that illegal operation, but I've seen several of his buses subsequent to the meeting. So I wanted to make sure that was captured in the resolution. So I'm gonna make a motion to add this amendment that I just dropped in the chat.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Thank you. I think, Trey, you can probably just ask if there are any objections or debate on this rather than doing a full roll call. David, is that right?
Yeah. Are there any objections to the motion? Okay, great. So we'll vote at the end on this.
So, so it is amended then. Sorry, Larissa, make sure that you, that there's no quotes around the word new. Because I think you had a previous version where there were quotes around the word new, otherwise it's the same wordage.
Okay, the version that I received via email does not have the quotes around news, so thank you.
Oh, it does not. Okay. It should not. Got it.
Great, thank you.
Right, thank you. Go ahead, Susan.
I just wanted to let Catherine, but everyone know that the Reese issue is on the agenda for next month. I think it's DDC, DEC, and Con Ed will all be coming.
In what committee, Susan? Is that?
That's Transportation Environment Committee.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions for David? All right, great. Let's move. Sorry, my hiccups are back. Can we move to Trevor Parks?
We did not have any resolutions, just updates on the ongoing resiliency work going on along our coast. One thing, some folks had reached out about the barrier at Pier 36, separating Pier 36 and 35. And Susan can probably give a little more information on it, but we are aware of it. It was shut down. I don't know when it was shut down, but we were informed today that it was shut down. We'll get more information, and we should have more information on our Parks Committee, next Parks Committee.
Thank you, Trevor. Susan, did you want to give any information on that?
No, Trevor and I really just found out this afternoon, and I think he's alluding to the fact that I asked for more information.
Yes, I was just saying that we're aware of it, and the office will have more information.
Great. Okay. May Lee, Health and Human Services.
Hi. It's almost 10 o'clock, so I'm going to be very brief. We had 3 interesting informational presentations. I was gonna talk a little bit more about each one, but I won't. But I do want to highlight one of them. So it's our first agenda item. It's a new project of barrier-free living. So what this project is a new housing project at 270 East 2nd Street. It's called Freedom Village. And what it is let me get the list out here. It's a new 13-story affordable housing building at that site. It is for domestic violence survivors and seniors coming out of hospitals. There is going to be 63 units for supportive housing for adults with disabilities, victims and survivors of domestic violence. And then there's about 11 units for something called voluntary inclusionary housing. And there will be a live-in super, so there'll be an apartment for the super. And it is affordable because will be 30% of the AMI levels. They plan to start construction this year in June. And it'll be 2 years later when it is done. So, you know, somebody here at this meeting asked about supportive housing, so there'll be a little bit going up there. And you'll see something 2 years later.
Okay.
That's the end of my report. Are there any questions?
Go ahead, Damaris.
I just, did they come before land use?
They always came to human services because it was more about the programs. I don't know if they, I mean, actually, they came before pandemic because I remember meeting them several times when we, you know, even before we heard of coronavirus. But Susan, I guess, would know if they had a separate thing at land use.
They don't.
But
This is
sometimes people do, they go separately, you know, to different committees for different things.
This is not a new use. This is where Barrier Free had their shelter before. And so it's actually not a new land use.
Okay, got it. It's just a reprogramming.
Yes.
Got it. Now I understand. Thank you.
Susan, did you have your hand up for something, or just you were putting your hand to respond? Okay, Laura?
You guys know I'm new to the area. I just wanted to understand, this is on Second Street. Is that also next to the men's shelter that's on that same street or no?
I thought that was on 3rd Street.
I'm not sure. I just always see them leaving 10th Street as a cluster and then going to the store to
What-
get their cigarettes and come back. So I just want to know, are we putting a
Which-
domestic violence place
Which
next to a
avenues
shelter?
are you- which avenue are you talking?
Between D and C?
This is, it's actually, it's near there. I think it's between B and C on on 2nd Street. But it's always been there. This was a shelter for disability, people with disabilities previously. It's always been a shelter.
And haven't they always had domestic violence programming there? Because that's one of the things that Barrier Free Living does.
I'm not sure if some of their,
I think the Barry Mission is shutting down.
no, this is where Barrier Free was.
Oh, there's no building there now. It's just a vacant lot, right? So they're
Well,
building this?
I believe they tore down demolished the building and they're making a new one.
Are we talking, they demolished the building on 2nd Street?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no building there. If you go
Okay,
there
well,
and look.
I haven't looked. That's why I'm asking, May.
Yes, it's where Barrier Free Shelter used to be a.
Right, I know exactly. Well, we used to go vote and all, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right, that was a shelter for people with disabilities and
Correct.
people with mental, emotional, and mental disabilities as well. That location. I mean, they may have done domestic violence there, but I mean, that's probably new programming. And I think Laura's referring to the shelter that's on 3rd Street between D and C. There's like a shelter over there near Ryanina, like across the street, or it could be in the other block. But am I correct, Laura? Is that the shelter that you're referring to?
I have no idea. I'll send out pictures tomorrow. I don't
So-
wanna, I'm
So
still
one
working the
we're talking
neighborhood.
about today is on 2nd Street. You can see it from Houston, right? So you might get confused and think that it's in the middle block, but it's really like facing Houston, that building.
I did, because I take my son to the library and I just always see these cluster
Right.
of men leaving the building, going to get their cigarettes and coming back. So I was just confused as to where we were placing a domestic violence shelter, if it was gonna be next to that. So thank you, my Lower East Side people, to always help me out.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Damaris. May, does that conclude your report?
Yeah, that concludes it.
All right, thank you. Don't laugh at me with these hiccups. Next, Landmarks Committee. Susan Sandra couldn't be on tonight. Do you have, are there any questions for her for that committee? I know there was a.
Yeah, I didn't even read the minutes, to be honest. I know they approved an application, but that's all I know.
Okay. I don't see any questions on it, so we'll move forward. Economic development, the meeting was canceled, so that concludes our committee reports. Yay, I'm gonna move to an adjournment. Roll call. Larissa, can you do a roll call?
Yes, I can.
We have to vote on the sheet though, correct?
Yes, we're voting on the sheet. Yep.
Okay, final roll call vote. David Adams,
Yes. Yes.
Yaron Altman,
Yes, present not voting, transportation 8. I work for DOT.
thank you. Sarah Rose Bachu,
Hi, yes to all, but no on SLA 12.
thank you. Lee Berman,
Okay, it's yes, except no on SLA items 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. And no on transportation item number 8. Thank you.
let me just repeat, make sure I capture that correctly. You're voting no on SLA 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, and no on transportation 8.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you for confirming. Okay, Carlin Chan,
Yes.
David Crane,
Yes.
Eric Diaz,
Yes.
Tariq Darrell.
I'm abstaining to SLA 12 and yes to everything else.
Thank you. Alistair Economakis. Alistair still on? Okay, Jamie Felber.
Yes, yeah, hi, it's Alistair.
Hi, Alistair, great.
Hi.
I've got
It's a yes on everything and a no on 12.
no on SLA 12, is that clear?
Correct, yeah,
Okay, SLA 12, thank you.
thank you.
Jamie Felber.
Yes to everything, no on SLA 12.
Thank you. Larry Fenn,
Yes to everything, no on SLA 12.
What does SLA? Well, you know what? I'm gonna abstain from that one.
Shirley Fennessy is absent, Catherine Freed.
Okay, yes on everything except SLA 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. No in transportation 8.
Okay, let me repeat to make sure I have everything for you. That is a no on SLA 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, and no on transportation 8.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, Deborah Glass, I believe she said she had to leave. Andrea Gordillo.
Yes on all except SLA 12.
Thank you. Danielle Hernandez.
Yes.
And pardon me for my cough. Herman Hewitt.
Yes on everything.
Trevor Holland.
Yes.
Valentina Jones.
Yes.
Michelle Coopersmith.
No on SLA 12. Yes on everything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Mei Lee.
Yes on everything.
Wendy Lee.
Yes on everything.
Amanda Liu.
Yes to all except SLA 12.
Laura Lugo.
Yes for all, no on SLA 12 and transportation 8.
Thank you. Damaris Reyes.
Yes to all, No on SLA 12 and on transportation 8.
Got that. Richard Ropiak,
Yes on all.
Thomas Rosa,
Yes.
Robin Chisholm,
No SLA 5 and 7, yes on everything else.
Wilkinson. Okay, Heidi Schmidt,
Yes.
Arnett Scott,
Yes.
Larissa Shainberg, yes. Daniel Tano,
Yes on all.
Josephine Velez,
Yes on all except SLA 12. I mean, yeah, no on SLA 12, sorry.
no on SLA 12. Thank you. Rodney Washington,
Yes.
Joshua Waterman,
No on SLA 12, yes on everything else.
Kathleen Webster,
Yes.
and July Yang.
Yes.
Great.
And Larissa, I need to come back to Lee.
Lee Berman,
Hi, Larissa. Because it's late, I don't think I mentioned, I'm also a no on SLA item 13.
no, you did not mention that, so I will add that. So for clarification, that is no on SLA 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 13.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, that's been updated.
Thank you, Larissa.
Sure.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Yes, get some rest. And those who are feeling what I'm feeling, get better. All right.
Thank you, Tariq. Feel better.
Bye, everybody.
Night.
Night.